Hello, and welcome to Hold Up, a movie podcast. Last time we took a tantalizing, I should say. Tantalating? That's not a word, is it? I'm making it one.
Titillating?
Trip through time. Yeah, that's the one. I'm gonna go with tantalizing. Last time we took a tantalizing trip through time and luckily got back alive. Tonight we journey through the universes of all kinds, where every choice we make creates a branch reality, some joyful, some twisted and mangled. We are we, but we are also them, and they are also us. So join us and them, for they are we. And tonight's theme is multiverses. I am your host, Davan Skelhorn, and with me, as always, my co-host, Chris Worldmind Murphy. How's it going, Murphy?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm just making a quest to make coherence of all these things that we're experiencing everywhere, all the time, at once. You know, everything that's about that we witnessed. And originally this was supposed to be multi-dimensional, but apparently we've stepped through the dimension. Now it's a multiverse. And
We explore the
I'd like it
verses.
to be known that we were intending to watch Last Action Hero, which is a perfect
Oh, give up on Last
film.
Action Hero.
I would have been cool with that. I would have been very cool with that.
I too would have been cool with that. I haven't watched it in a very long time, and I thought it would have made an excellent multi-dimensional film. But
It actually would have for a lot of reasons.
No,
It'll
Davin
be in the
decided to
multi-dimensional
go-
episode.
It would have been, but no. Davin decided to go to the romance novel of the grocery store and pick him out a movie that only our moms would watch back in the 70s.
Hey now,
Quest for Love,
Andre's
so,
gonna disagree with you there. Speaking of Andre, we have a guest tonight, my other co-host from X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
Trying to give someone a seizure there? My God. I feel like with you guys,
André Myette.
with you guys quoting things that apply to the theme, I feel like I should have prepared something. All I have are the lyrics to "Helplessly Hoping" by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. They are one person, they are two alone, they are three together, and they are for each other. So there we go. I think that sort of applies to us group here.
that's
Are you or are you them?
They are me.
We are all.
Good answer. Excellent. We're getting off on the right foot here.
Yeah. Okay. In fairness, Murphy, for the pick of the one that I know you're referring to, Davan gave me a very strict criteria to try to find him a parallel universe movie that took place before 1990. So that was so that I went through a list of what I could find. I gave him some options, and he went with that one. So I'm not.
Yep.
I don't want
It
to.
sounded good.
Listen, I'm not going to blame the chef for presenting a menu of options. I'm just going to blame the
should.
customer for having bad
You should
taste.
blame the chef if the food is bad.
You know what? I don't want to tip my hand on that
Anyway.
movie too early, but I actually
Yeah.
did like it. I wouldn't say it's a masterpiece, but I liked it all right.
Well, this is the last episode of our first season. This is season 1, episode
You
20.
finally
We
dragged
made
me
it.
kicking and screaming onto this show.
Yep. Hey, well, look, you may have been the only guest we've had on who's listened to at least in part to all of our episodes.
I've listened to everyone except for the newest one. I'm only. You guys are complaining about how bad of a kisser Malcolm McDowell is. That's where I stopped listening.
Oh, it's
I was in my car on the way here, on the way home, and then that was playing in the car, and I stopped, got out of the car, came in. So it wasn't that long ago.
somehow it was good enough to attract Mary Steenburgen, but she might have
They only married
dated a bunch of
briefly,
bad
although I
kisses.
think they have they don't speak ill of each other. I think they had a
They seem reputable people.
I like her. But the time movie I wish you guys would have talked about is one I wish I could have given you to that suggestion. It's called Time Crimes. It's a Spanish language film by Nacho Vigdelano. He did that. Remember that movie with Anne Hathaway where there was like a giant monster in China or Japan or Korea that she could control? Jason Bateman was in it. It was called it came out a couple years ago. Something about being big. I can't remember the name of the title was, but anyway, that guy directed that and a bunch of other movies. But it's a super good timey-wimey, like paradox running into yourself when this guy runs into this dude coincidentally stumbles upon a little like lab, and then he gets caught in a timing machine, and then winds up like a few hours before he went to the lab, and then he's trying to prevent him going to the lab But then other versions of him get in time machines. There's multiple versions of him all running around at the same time, trying to kind of, and it all wraps up in a beautiful way. But it's a really, really good time movie. It's subtitled, but it's fantastic. I'd highly suggest
I
it.
do love a good subtitle.
But like, we're not always like that's kind of not the concept of the show.
It 100% is. It's a movie hardly
I'm not
anybody
sure
heard
what
about,
the
and
concept
it's
is.
Well, that's true. No, that is a
Evan
good point.
changes
That
the
is a good point.
criteria every time he describes it. So
Yes.
Well,
he
no,
does, doesn't
but-
he?
No, well, it's not. You're right. It's one that people haven't seen, so that's a good pick. But it's not about picking things you already think are super awesome necessarily, because that's not much of
Colossal
an
was the movie I
exploration.
couldn't think of the name of. It's the one with Anne Hathaway. It's called Colossal.
But
It's also
I
very
like those two. I like that we have a mix. We've had a great mix of A, B, and C movies. We're picking enough variety to like surprise ourselves with good movies, surprise ourselves with bad movies, and that's the point. That's
Well,
the
in theory, I
premise
think
of
you'd
the
make it a
podcast.
more interesting experience if you picked good movies from different walks of life. Like, it doesn't need to necessarily be an okay, and a great movie. If it was like a parallel universe action film, and then a parallel universe romance film, and then a parallel universe something else, it all kind of fits the criteria, but it doesn't necessarily mean one of them has to be bad.
Well, the point is not knowing. Like,
Okay.
I don't want to. It's not about seeing a bunch of movies we've seen already. It's about like picking movies and seeing if they hold up.
That's the main. That's the
But
main,
using the
like,
term-
caveat is just.
Okay,
because
I don't want to
those
take apart
two
your show,
movies.
but using the term hold up usually applies to something that was popular to begin with. If you say something holds up, everyone loved it in the 70s, and would they still love it now? If it was a
It's more
movie
like
that
does it
wasn't
hold
very
up to
pop-
it
was-
I mean, more like holding up to modern viewing.
Okay, that's right.
I was
That's
gonna
right.
say,
That's what
to
we're-
be
that's what
fair,
we're
I think the
exploring.
initial like concept was like popular films, and if they kind of like held up, like just
No, it
movies
wasn't.
That
like,
would make more sense.
I was
But
always
I think
planning
that
on
was a-
picking weird old movies I haven't seen.
No, that's good.
That's fair.
I mean, hey, I dig the show. I listen to it.
Yeah.
I feel like you're
appreciate
pretty-
that you know.
I feel like you're
listen
pretty
so
mean to
many
Murphy
movies.
sometimes. I want to, I like that.
We've known each other a long time. And
Doesn't mean you can be mean to him.
he tears into me just as good or worse.
It's more like this is my description as an uninitiated. I don't really know you guys super well beyond just our interactions between doing these shows, which is great. You guys are wonderful, but it feels like Murphy pleading for some semblance of understanding, and then Davan denying him all the way through.
I get
Murphy's like,
canceled
just
so hard.
listen to me. I just have a point I want to make. And Davin's like, no, you're wrong. It's stupid. You're wrong. This is why I'm right. Davin.
Tell Murphy why Gremlins is a great movie.
It is a great movie, Murphy. I have to disagree with you on that one, but that's fine.
I'm
It is a
saying,
great
I'm
movie.
saying
In fact, I literally just got a message from a friend that hasn't seen it and wants to do a screening on her back deck this weekend. So I'm going to do that.
Because
Very
and it'll
excited.
be in a great time and everyone will enjoy themselves.
It's a great movie.
It'll be fit. I mean,
I'm
you're
saying it's a
you're
terrible
probably doing that a
movie. I
little
just
too
think
close.
Gremlins 2 is a better film.
Gremlins
not
2 is
close
a better
enough to
film.
Christmas.
I'll agree with Murphy there. Gremlins 2
That
is a
doesn't
better
make the
film.
first one a bad movie,
No, it
though.
doesn't.
So
It doesn't at all.
that by Murphy's
the first
criteria
one
that he
bad?
judged Gremlins on, every sequel that he likes better than the first movie, he has to judge the first one a B movie or a C
I mean,
movie.
that
That's
yeah.
by that criteria, and that's
Often-
just silly.
often they're not even like, it's not even like often, especially with older movies,
They're
like,
different movies.
The sequel has not, like the whole crew that puts it together aren't even the same crew that did the first one.
Mm.
So it's
Davin.
often completely a whole different thing.
Davin, did you not just say not even 3 minutes ago that this podcast is about if movies hold up to modern viewing?
And you don't think Gremlins does?
No.
Yeah,
Well, that's just
I
silly.
do, but I understand where you're coming from. But if you paint any old horror movie with that brush, none of them will.
You're
will
Exactly.
To be fair,
No.
I'm not a fan of old horror movies. I'm
oh,
not a
I
fan
so
of
I
horror
100%
movies
am.
in
So
general.
that's why. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
me too.
I-
Love them.
But he is
All right.
right. And if you ever look, I don't want to go off on a tangent
Yeah.
with Gremlins, but Gremlins 2, if you look into how it got made, Joe Dante, who in my opinion is one of the best directors of all time,
Yeah, matinee.
he did the first. Yeah, Matinee is an excellent film. Almost Small Soldiers, like all of his movies are great.
Oh, Small Soldiers.
I know it's so good, but like the Howling,
Mhm.
God, I could name the Burbs, which is a fantastic movie.
Oh, The Burbs is one of my
yeah.
favorite movies.
Um,
We got to get
every-
that on the show.
Everything he's done is great. Even his segments in the Twilight Zone movie, like. But anyway, he he did the first one, and it was such a headache with all the puppets that they asked him to come back for the second one because it did so well. And he was like, "No, I'm not doing it." And like a year went by, and they're like, "No, please come back." And he's like, "No, I'm not." And then a year went by later, and like, "Here's a bunch of money," and he's like, "No." And then another year went by, and they're like, "Okay, here's a bunch of money, and you have a final cut. You can do whatever you want. We have no say in it whatsoever." And he was like, "Okay." And that's why he made. So he had free range to make a movie that was a parody of horror movies, that was a parody of Gremlin movies, that was a parody of even itself. Like, it just self-parodies all the way through. It does such an amazing job of it, even asking questions that the audience did, like, what time can they start eating again? What if he goes through the national dateline? Like, all these stupid questions that are all the things movie fans would ask themselves. He gets Christopher Lee in there. It's such a good movie.
But it's him having a lark, but it's not like a great.
No, but it
vision like
actually
the first
has.
one. That's why I don't think it's a better movie. It's just making fun of it and everything. It's like
No, yes and no.
He's having fun with it, but he's not. He doesn't want to be doing it.
He is, but it actually has something to say about.
Do you see what I go through with every episode?
No, but he is. But there is a more meta textual thing about
Very
movie
meta.
watching in general, horror fans in general, and the people that watch these sort of movies. That's all buried in that. It's beautiful. It's one and two
Good
are very
movie, too.
different beasts. They're both fantastic in their own way. But two,
I liked
as far
two
as
more
like
as
an
a kid.
two as far as an experiment in the
'cause it's
cinema
silly.
is way more interesting than just a straight narrative story. So.
You know,
I mean, you
can
got
describe us the same
Hulk
way,
Hogan's
Andre.
in it.
One of two different beasts and fantastic in our own way.
Exactly. You're both beautiful wild beasts that can't be tamed.
You know, Andre, we have another segment on this show. You may probably know since you
here it
listen to our
comes.
show. Origin stories. Andre, what's with you and movies?
Well, as a young man, I was visiting a radioactive display that was happening at a local Blockbuster, and I was bitten by an irradiated VHS tape.
Mm-hmm. Then what happened?
It filled me with irradiated VHS energy that propelled me into a lifetime of loving cinema.
And tape.
Like this.
The true story being, that is actually is pretty cool. The true story is I grew up in a small.
What?
Now
Yeah.
they can identity theft you, Murphy.
Well, I mean,
Yes,
Murphy.
if your number is 8641486, sorry.
Someone's
Don't know
going to
the
go
area
to a
code. I'm not gonna
Blockbuster
throw
and
that
rent
out there.
45 copies of True Lies on your account, bud.
My
yeah,
account number was 207-189-26550.
That's amazing. I don't nowhere near remember what mine was. Truro had a video store called Truro Home Video, which is where I generally went more than Blockbuster. There was a Blockbuster, and a friend of mine that's a friend now, but not then, used to work there. So that's cool. No, I grew up in a small community, and I only had two channels growing up, which are CTV and ATV, or CBC and CTV, and the French channel. So I didn't speak French, so that was kind of a no-go. So because of that, I would try to watch as many movies as I could, renting from the local store, or having my cousins who had cable tape me things off TV. That led me to seeing a lot of movies, some of which you guys talked about. Stay Tuned was one of my favorites as a kid, and I've rewatched it again recently and think it's still a fantastic movie.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's a great movie. But a lot of that's sort of the reason. And then I just sort of fell into love with movies. Like, movies to me is the great escape. I mean, I am an actor. I'm in the Actors Union. I do act in some things. I've been in a movie or two and some TV shows. And I do a lot of stage stuff. So I really love the art of acting itself. But movies just gives you a portal to another world. And it's such a great experience when you see a good one. So, yeah, movies are great. I feel like if you don't like movies, I don't understand you.
Well, I know a guy who doesn't. Portals to another world is a good segue. Let's
You like what I did there?
yeah. Let's take a portal to.
I'm a
Theater
professional, sir.
One. Yes, indeed. We're on the Graphic Histories podcast and
That's right.
X-rated, the X-Men animated review show.
Fantastic podcast.
Thank you, sir.
We do what we can. Theater One, we have Quest for Love from 1971, starring Joan Collins, Tom Bell, Denham. Oh, I think I forgot the end there. Denham Elliott. I think it's Denham.
The home.
No, I think it's
No,
Denholm.
I
It's like
forgot the
it's
end.
like Denholm. Like the H isn't really pronounced. It's like Denholm.
Yeah, Denham. I'm gonna put the N in there so I can actually say it. There we go. Denham Elliott, and directed by Ralph Thomas. British movie, comes off kind of like a play, almost like it looks like it's made
Very
for television,
playish.
which I assume it was.
I mean, it was the
Seems like
70s.
it
There were a
was.
lot of movies that that look this way in the 70s. If they're not the highest budget things, like also in England too, right? So you're not getting a Taxi Driver.
BBC TV movie.
That would make sense. Although, yeah, I suppose you're the guy that comes in the knowledge, so you would know more than me.
He's the movie morsel guy.
I do what I can to find everything. There wasn't a lot to find on this movie, trust me, but we'll talk about that
That's
later.
fine. We'll
There's a
get
few
through that and
interesting things
talk
on
about
stuff.
a couple more interesting movies.
Let's refresh our palate, shall we, and
Yeah.
review the trailer.
Oh, we had a trailer for this? I figured this wouldn't have one.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
there's always a trailer.
Things are happening.
Some of them give you the whole movie.
Oh man, they use this theme so much in the movies. They have like one, piece of music they just use over and over again.
A second chance of love in a different world. Colin Trafford is normally a mild-mannered man.
This is probably
he's
the piece of
racing to
music
save
they
the
use
life of
for
the
every
woman he
BBC
loves,
movie at
and
the
yet has
time.
never
So like
met.
every movie you watch,
I will
it's
write
just
you
that same
This
thing.
movie gives away everything. My God, in the first, like, this trailer
A
gives away
dedicated
everything.
scientist in one
Every
life,
trailer
he
does.
finds
Like every
himself
trailer we
thrust
watch, it's
into
just
a
like, why did we
bewildering
bother
usually
watching the
as a
movie?
fashionable
Usually
and
more modern
successful
ones do
author.
that. This
When
one
you walked
really
through that door
gives away a lot.
yesterday, I saw you for the first time in real life, and I fell in love with you.
On a
And
desperate
then the
quest
opposite
to
is
fulfill
on
a
the
promise.
beach that gives you nothing. It's just about people went to this movie. People liked this movie.
That's better.
And then, yeah, best movie on earth.
The trailer for the original Aliens shows you nothing. You see an egg. That's it. And it's fantastic.
On a determined quest to discover his true friends.
Colin, I think it would. I don't know what they call it around here, Tommy boy, but where I come from. You have a name for you?
Frantic to confirm his sanity.
My wife pointed out it sounds very much like Luke's theme when he's on Tatooine in Star Wars. You heard it from the other
Doesn't
room.
it? I wonder if it is
does.
the same. It
You
really
heard it from the
does.
other room and she's
To
like, you
prove
know
his
Star
love.
Wars?
And
I think it's the same.
great
It's
prize.
very close. It's not the same, but it's close.
I do.
Yeah, that part there is the
Colin,
that
please don't do
part.
this to me.
The do definitely the
Quest.
same.
A desperate search for love.
running scene.
I've been married to a man for 4 years who never said a word until lunchtime. Now all of a sudden he's making speeches over breakfast. How do you expect me to feel?
Well, you'd better get used to it.
Starring Joan Collins, a glittering beauty and an international star in her greatest role. Tom Bell.
We've had
a
her on our
brilliant
show
dramatic
before.
actor
I'm not can't
playing
remember
a
which.
great romantic character. Denham Elliott, whose friendship spanned the romance and drama of both worlds.
If you
Denham
do that
Elliott.
again,
They really give you a lot of information.
I'll kill you.
Lawrence Naismith, a shrewd scientist,
Well, he's
human
great.
enough to calculate from the heart.
And tinnitus.
Yeah, he was probably my favorite character.
Quest for Love. A unique story with a vast new concept of love.
There you have it.
Davan, you know Joan Collins because she was in the episode of Star Trek, the original series, The City on the Edge of Forever.
Oh yeah, she's Edith Keeler.
Yes. So
My daughter is kind of sort of named after her.
you should know who she is then.
I know, I should.
Yeah. She's a smoke show, man. She's
Oh, yeah.
You can't tell me these actors weren't charming. I mean,
They
I think
were-
they were both
they had-
pretty
I
charming.
found the main guy a bit dry.
Nah, he was charming. They were charming in that way that old English people are charming.
Yeah, like it was just. It was,
But there are way
it
more
was-
charming old English
Yeah,
people.
it was
than that.
atypical British dry acting that was just.
Well, yeah.
I had no draw for it, and it was very. There was a smattering of science fiction that was not really well.
Yeah,
done. It was
this
just
was
more
definitely more of a romance movie
Just a-
than a science fiction movie.
Yeah, it felt
But-
like a mom's like romance novel that you'd find at the grocery store or something.
But in defense of it, I don't particularly like romance movies, and I don't particularly I don't seek them out. My favorite romance movie is Grosse Point Blank, which is a fantastic movie. The one with
Mine's Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country by Nicholas Sparks.
that's a terrible choice.
My favorite element.
It's about a hitman that goes back to his high school reunion, played by John Cusack. Minnie Driver's in it. It's very good. But it kept me interested. I mean, I watched the full hour and a half and didn't get overly bored. I did find there were scenes that dragged a little long, but if you're not into romance movies, you're definitely not going to enjoy this.
The last half was dreadful for me. The first half,
Well,
I was like,
so-
all right, let's see where this goes. And then it's just like, ugh.
I feel like, this concept is not new. I mean, I guess you should get into the movie before you go to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fire it up, Murphy.
All right.
I was going to say this idea has been done a million times by a lot of other movies, including a very famous one starring Nicolas Cage. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah,
This movie's
we're
very
starting with
gray
Quest for Love
as well.
for
Not a
1971.
lot of color.
Colin Trafford, played by Tom Bell, is a physicist who, in the year 1971, demonstrates a machine to his best friend Tom Lewis, played by Denham Elliott, and other distinguished guests, including Sir Henry Larston, played by Lawrence Naismith. Getting into it, this is apparently Davin's favorite scene. He said he wanted the sciencey bits at the beginning because he wasn't quite clear.
Yeah.
And then
I
when we
couldn't think
watch
of one
the
else.
scene,
It's incredibly
Do you
bad.
know who we've got up there?
let's pay
The one
attention
with
to the
white
science
hair.
in this scene.
This is what I meant.
Lance,
This is the scene
why
I
not?
meant.
What kept you?
Held up
Where's
like
the
Okay.
science? Hang on.
Needlessly angry.
We have here particles approaching half the speed of light, and you were held up by the limb.
ironic, isn't it?
Colin, yeah? See you after for
Oh, yeah, great.
Well, let's get on with it
Sippy
then.
He's like, you're about to experiment with this dangerous
Morning,
machinery, but
gentlemen.
we'll have a drink
Yeah.
later.
I ordered the bump on this, so I needn't go into detail.
No
Our
detail.
purpose here today is to show you IPI's new machine in action and to show you the great range of its potential. Now, the hardware here is a refinement of Dr. Rankin's prototype.
They don't even explain what goes wrong. It's like something's wrong. I know.
They don't explain the
They
machine.
don't explain what went
Or
wrong.
what it's supposed to do. Like,
Well, what it's
it's
supposed
Yeah.
to do is just to be refined.
this is particles that go half the speed of light for some reason.
Well, if you have a rudimentary
No,
knowledge
that's
of
not even
science, it's a particle accelerator. That's
No,
what.
it's not even it either.
It has to be. It makes particles
No.
move fast. What else is a particle accelerator for?
The particle thing does he mentions like we're dealing with particle science, but it was more of a riff on the fact that the guy was late. It was like a particle joke. Like he doesn't
think
even
it was
allude
relation-
to
No,
it.
he was still talking about, but there, no,
I think
there
it's
was
supposed
definitely
to be.
particles
I think
involved.
it's supposed to be a particle accelerator. The,
It might
the,
be a
wiki, the
particle
wiki
accelerator.
calls it that, but that doesn't mean it's true.
But the thing about particle accelerators is they have to be really big, and they didn't really give us that sort of scale
No, I
of
mean
the
they just
facility,
assume nobody.
but that's
They assume nobody knows anything about it. And
Yeah.
it's
Just
pretty-
call it
they're-
the machine in descriptions I found. Like there's
The machine.
No...
We're gonna turn
particle
on-
accelerator is the best guess, I think.
It sounds ominous.
But
We're
like,
gonna turn
but
on
from the
the
first,
machine.
like that was kind of silly and vague science. But I was just like, all right, this could be some silly, weird science fiction thing. And then the movie just kept getting down more and more downhill. There was a couple little scenes where he's just
Well,
like,
there's only really
first-
one instance of parallel universe in this, which is fine.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, similar to, I guess, Last Action Hero has a lot of others. You know what would have been an interesting one, too, which I never thought about for one of these? Page Master, the Macaulay
oh,
Culkin
the
movie.
Page Master.
He travels around to different realities and books.
Yeah, I didn't think about that one. That's a
Me
good
neither.
one.
I don't know if that one often comes up when you talk about parallel universe. But anyway, sorry, Murph, go ahead.
So yeah, during the demonstration, the machine malfunctions and Colin finds himself trapped, transported to an alternate reality, still as Colin Trafford, but with his memories intact. This parallel world has significant historical differences. For instance, John F. Kennedy and Leslie Howard are alive, and there was no Vietnam War or World War II. The world diverged into two separate timelines in 19.
He's like, the war. They're like, what war?
Yeah.
He's like, you know,
Also,
the
no-
war.
Also,
He's
nobody's climbed Mount Everest in this world, which I
Yeah.
find funny.
And
they
his
haven't gone to the
friend here,
moon,
Tom
right.
still has his right arm, you know, which he did. Like I didn't even
Yeah.
realize he was.
I didn't
missing his
either
right
until
arm
this came
he
up.
Mentioned it, yeah.
Yep.
Um,
He lost
So,
it
yeah.
because he was a war. So in his
Yeah.
in the other world, he was a war reporter, and he lost it in
Yeah,
Vietnam.
they did say
while
that.
reporting on Vietnam, because he brings it up. But in this one, he's a film critic instead, for the for the New York Times or something.
well, yeah.
So
So
that-
Colin's a successful writer and is married to Audie Harsom, who's played by Harsham. Anyway, Joan
I didn't even know how to
Collins,
pronounce her
basically.
first name correctly. Is it Audie?
I think it's
Audie.
Audley or
Audley. That is Audley. It is Audley. You're right.
Yeah. But yeah, however, their marriage is strained as Audley hates him, and mainly because his alternate self was an alcoholic and adulterer who mistreated her. And
Yeah,
as
he's
you
a real
guys
dick.
mentioned,
Bastard. A real
these
bastard.
other guys
I love
that-
how like all these various women are like, remember all these times we had together? And he's like, well, I don't know who you are. Like he doesn't know anything about the previous life, and
It took
everyone
him
keeps
so
trying to talk to him.
long to just be like, I'm not who you think I am. I'm from another reality. He just like kept like falling into the conversation and being like, oh no, this lady's mad at me. Why are you mad at me, live? It's like, what? Why are you trying to pander to her? Why don't you just like explain what's going on right now?
I mean, it is a pretty wild story, but it does take him, like, he gets drunk first and then makes a fool of himself before he just comes clean.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite scenes. Not the one I picked, but yeah, he gets drunk at the party. People are like bugging him about this, and he just starts like, he's like, I don't know, I'm above all of you people. Like, you're not even on my same plane, you know. You haven't even climbed Mount Everest, because he like finds a book that says they didn't conquer like Mount Everest and stuff, and you get this like fun little POV shot of him.
What book is it? Things we haven't done.
Yeah. It seems like a encyclopedia of failure.
Yeah.
He has a bunch of books. He has like a neat little display of all the books he wrote on the shelf, though, which is nice.
So yeah, he's being hit on by like his actress friend or whatever. Apparently, he's been sleeping and adultering around. Basically crashes the whole party. Everyone goes home, and he's just known as the drunk guy again. Surprise, motherfucker! In his
what was that for?
Dokes makes an appearance on our show.
Does he? Okay, I know. Yeah. I'm familiar with Dokes.
So yeah, in his drunken stupor, he decides to watch a bit of TV, and he sees that the character Lawrence Niemsen's Henry Larson character is on TV talking about. So he immediately runs to, and this is what was my favorite scene.
I'm afraid you can't go in there, son. Look, I must see Sir Henry Lansdene. It's vital.
I'm sorry. Universal, baby.
All right.
Yep.
You see that he gets this?
Oh, right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That was my favorite scene, too. Well,
no, yours was the timey business at the beginning of the episode.
Well, I like that too, but this was better. I like that he got the guy's attention with an equation that he hadn't solved.
This cannot possibly be valid.
Oh, it is, sir.
You got it, Murphy. That was the best scene.
Well, I was hoping you could tell me.
Geniuses do not have to be told who they are.
Oh, I'm not, sir. That equation was formulated by somebody else. He's the genius.
But nobody of that caliber has been working in this field.
That word you used in your theory on time, what was it? Not on the same plane, wasn't it?
You better come in here with me. I'm sorry, sir. Shoo.
The guy's got some intense eyebrows.
Yeah, I should have wrote it down. That was the scene I was going to say was my favorite scene, but by the time you watched the movie, so I was able to tell you mine, I had forgotten. And I'm just like, some sciencey shit at the start.
Okay, that was the sciencey bit.
That was the sciencey bit. Yeah.
I'm used to being the one to walk through the episode on the X-Men show. It's nice having somebody else go through it on this one.
Right?
I keep wanting to start talking about it and just like doing your job. So I'm so used to it on the other one.
Hey, if you feel like jumping in, I'll let you start.
That's all good. I'll let you know if I see anything that although I wish I could have got you to get a screen cap of the titles of the books that he wrote in Quest for Love, because some of them sound like the most pretentious, like like books, like The Death of God or something was one of them, or something like that. Like they were just like the book titles that of all the books he wrote just made me laugh a lot, because they just seemed like we need to make like important sounding books for this guy to have written. Let's just grab some really titles with some heavy gravitas.
Well, you'll be pleased to know I have a little morsel for you, but it's not entirely the details you're looking for. But I have a morsel for you when we get to it.
I'm happy.
So yeah, basically, where was I? Colin basically makes his discovery that he's in an alternate reality with the professor, and at this
he kind of suspected it already, but the professor sort of believes him. He has someone that believes him.
Yeah, the professor sort of solidified it. So he goes back and he talks to Audley, and he's like, listen, I'm not who you think I am. I honestly am telling you this. If you don't believe me, we can get a divorce. Just come back to me. We'll go talk to the professor, and he'll show you. And then this is where we get to Andre's favorite scene.
This is a great scene.
70. Now, this could have happened on any plane, but in this particular instance, it happened here. The train, or rather the world, splits here. Half of it goes off along this track, and half of it goes off along this track. Now, time progresses in the same way in both worlds. So when it's 1940 here, it's 1940 there, 1960 there, 1960 there, 1970 there, 1970 there.
I don't understand how...
I think what's bothering
Could have happened to anyone. Both worlds are the same as the original. There's a Colin here and a Colin there, an Ottilie there and an Ottilie there. But since the worlds which shaped them have been different, their characters may be different too.
Yeah, it's like twins.
Shh. As I was about to say, it's like having an identical twin in the parallel worlds who's been brought up differently. He's the same but different.
But how did the two Collins change over?
Some function of the experiment. They were playing about with a random factor and it ran wild.
Professor Landstein, can you prove any of this?
Ah, a skeptic. The first requirement of the scientific process. No, my dear young lady, I can't. That's what they asked me in 1938. I can show its mathematical validity, but without an experiment, I can't prove it.
But you do believe my story?
Oh, yes. Your story is absolutely consistent with my theory.
And you think that I should believe him too?
What young ladies believe or what they don't believe has nothing to do with science. I think I should give him a chance and then make him mind up.
Yeah, it's a great little fun scene. I love when he keeps shushing them. He's like, shh.
That was a good scene.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted, I think, Murph.
Yes, I am. Sorry. That is the best scene in the movie, hands down.
He's such a good. I think they're all charming actors. That particular guy, that played Sir Henry, Lawrence Naismith. He's very good. He's very good.
Collins basically tries to seek help from his friend Tom in this parallel world. As Andre mentioned, he's a film critic for the Times, and he's no longer missing his arm. But Tom's cautious about and worries about the effect these revelations would have on Ottilie, who has a heart condition. But
well, he thinks that he's playing with her, like because the one of him from that time is kind of a dick who cheats on her all the time. Exactly. And as they get to know each other, he's asking her questions about the people in his life he's supposed to know, like the girl from the play that was making eyes at him that he's having an affair with, she tells him, and then the other girl that talked to him at the party that was the previous girl he had an affair with before he moved on to this girl. But he thinks that he's just toying with her again because every so many years he tries to be a better person and then it just blows up and he hurts her again, is what he says. And he says basically that he knows that she's dying and he didn't know that. She swore him to secrecy and that she's a heart condition.
He basically tries to prove his identity by publicly rejecting advances from other women, which eventually convinces Ottilie that he's who he says he is. Because
for the most part, she gets some more proof once they get back to their house.
Yeah, he just starts making breakfast in the morning and stuff like that, which he never did.
Because he actually is in love with her, and that's this because the previous version of him didn't care about her at all. She was like a trophy at the start, and then when he got bored, he just moved on, and just took her for granted. So he actually fell in love with her right away and wants her and her love, but he's fighting against what the other version of him had done up until this point.
He's basically swimming upstream at that point.
Yeah. Pretty much.
As Colin and Ottilie grow closer, eventually this tragedy strikes. That they have the romance stuff. She's playing piano, and then all of a sudden, her heart gives out. So
I just have one thing to add. He's trying to keep his distance from her while they're trying to, he's trying to earn her trust. She falls on him during a little thing they're doing, and then his robe opens enough that she can see his shoulder. And he is missing a scar that the other version of him had. So that's the last point that proves to her that he's not her version because he doesn't have that scar that he's always had from a spike he got pushed into by his friend when they were kids.
So I actually liked this scene that was happening purely because I thought it was the best lit scene in the whole movie.
Yeah,
I thought the scene was just really gorgeously well done.
A lot of the scenes this movie's quite ugly as well, but this was a nice.
Yeah, it's very dated because it's obviously
it is a product of the time for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
In their budget.
But out of all the scenes in the movie, this was the one that was really really beautiful. So basically she's trying to say she's good, but also her heart gives out.
I just found it funny because his friend's like, all right. He's like, you better not hurt her again or I'll kill you. And he's like, she has a heart condition. She's dying. A year ago, she found out that her heart's going to give out. And he's like, oh, God, I'm going to run home and just have vigorous sex with her over and over again. It's probably not the best thing for her.
Might as well wear that heart out now.
Yeah, then she dies right after, basically. So it's maybe that was the best thing for her heart.
So, she's like, I know I'm in the other universe somewhere. Find me. And he just... I'm assuming wills himself back to the alternate reality.
Yeah, this
There's
is
really
where you get the
no
love
flippy
maybe what
switch.
kept him there. I don't know, but
Yeah, he basically Sam Beckett quantum leaps back to his own body through mal seizures.
it kind of makes you wonder what happened to the
Just
other version of
'cause.
him. Well, what happened to the
Just
other version of him? Was the other version of him just in a coma in this world, or is that version dead? Like when he left, did that version go back? Was the version like who knows?
This is all
It's all very
alcohol
thin.
sweats.
Everything's very thin.
Well, it
here.
doesn't
Like,
really
that-
matter. I mean, you only an hour and a half to tell the story, but it just is interesting as to what kind of experience was the Colin from that world, just in a
Yeah.
coma for 3 weeks.
The irony is the movie kind of could have ended at this moment, but it keeps going for, about another 30 minutes because now that he's back in his
Yep.
original reality, he is determined like a stalker on a Facebook page to find this woman that he fell in love with in the parallel world.
Well,
I think it should have
specifically
ended back there.
No, specifically to save her life because he knows that the girl from this universe would have the same heart condition. And early when he found out about the heart condition, he said, I read something about a surgery that can fix this. And then they don't have it in that world. So that's why he can't save her. But they do in his world. So and the version of her in his world probably doesn't even know she has a heart condition. So he has to try to find her to tell her about her heart condition and then make sure she gets the surgery she needs to survive. So
Yes,
it's kind of a race against time.
I was going to get to that.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Remember how I said I have trouble letting that differentiating what show I'm on?
It's all good. So yeah, basically he nails it down.
Is that Jean Grey?
I don't know. Basically, he goes through a series of name recognition, finding out that her parents died, she was adopted, she's got a different last name. He eventually tracks her down and finds out that she's a flight attendant on Pan Am through the orphanage school that she were like. He went through the nines. Like this is a search effort that probably took him weeks,
including yelling at the old guy that used to work with her when she's a teacher. He's like, "Stop moving, you idiot! And tell me where she is." He just like freaking out of this poor.
It was either his teacher or it was like a Pan Am coworker, like a manager or something.
Well, no, he found out. Oh yeah, no, he found out. Oh, yes, that's true. But when he went to the school she used to teach at, he was talking to the other teacher when he was picking up the kid stuff, and then and he's the one that told him that she went to become a student.
Yeah, she's like, I can't share the records, and he just grabs the records, and she's like, "Sir," and he's like, "Sorry," and just tosses it back.
I'm sure that's highly illegal. She has his name. She could probably report him to the police. He got like
right. So yeah, he chases her down, basically finds out that she's on the Pan Am flight, and he's like, shakes this guy down for the information. He toys with her a bit. He finds out that he thinks she's left, and he's trying to find out when she's coming, but she's actually arrived, and she's departing off the plane, and he's running over hell and high water over this airport looking for her. The most ridiculous, just like running. See, it just goes on forever. It's kind of, it gets to the point. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go back to my friend's place and pass out." He misses it, goes back to the manager's office, gets the address from the manager. Like, I don't know how he's not getting stopped by the police at this point. Finds his way all the way to her place. The roommate's like, "She's not here, or I'm the person." He almost gets ployed, but he's like, "No, I'm going back in," busts in, finds that she's passed out. They call the hospital, and he's coming in with a bag of roses because he's the hero. Old Colin Trafford saved his love.
Be a pretty
Bodily.
awkward. I'd be curious to see how he'd explain how he knew she had a heart condition and all this sort of stuff.
I've been stalking you for months.
I'd assume he'd have to tell her the truth, but why would she buy it? I don't know. But it does seem like it's like a love at first sight kind of thing. Like in the other universe, he fell in love with her immediately, and
Now
so
she's
maybe
falling in love with this man that saved her life. How very white knight in shining armor.
Exactly. It's very golden age of oh come on, have a little
well,
romance.
Let's ask the question, which performance would you hold up? For me, it's Lawrence Naismith.
Yeah, me too. Actually, he's fantastic.
Honestly,
actually no.
Tom Bell, man.
Yeah, Tom Bell is really good. I actually think his friend is really good. The friend who missed the arm. When he tells him, because he obviously cares about her. I don't know if he romantically cares about her or just is friends with her, but he's quite defensive of the wife of Audley because he's seen her hurt so many times by his friend. And like when he says, "I'll kill you if you break her heart again," and he does a really good job. So just to keep things spicy, we'll all pick someone different. I'll say Tom Lewis, who played Denham. The character
Denham
Denham Elliott played Tom Lewis. So
Yeah.
All right.
I recognize Denham Elliott from other things, but I couldn't put my.
He's in all the Indiana Jones movies. He's he was in Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Last Crusade.
I think it's something else.
He's like a rival archaeologist that keeps showing up.
I don't know.
The setting aesthetic. For me, it was pretty drab. That one scene stands out as being a little bit prettier, but it was pretty drab, and that didn't help me get into it either.
It reminds me very much.
I was tired, and it made me tired. This movie made me more tired.
There's a movie version of the play I'm directing that happened in the 70s that reminded me very much of this. It's Rod Steiger's in it, and it's I watched it not too long ago, but it was a TV movie made in the 70s, and the color, even the sets, that's in an apartment a lot of the time, it does very much remind me of that. So it is a product of the time and a lower budget for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. It was it is very much a product of the 70s. It feels like it's in the 70s. It feels like it never stepped out. It's never going to step out of the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And BBC television quality film. Like you're not getting much visually out of it.
Yeah.
The sound mixing was a bit weak on some points. The reuse of the song was too much.
Yeah, they use it a lot.
They used it way too much.
Devin, that actor that played Denham Elliott because he was in A Bridge Too Far.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's where I'm recognizing him from because I feel like we watched a movie with him in it recently.
It's fun having people show up on different movies in this podcast.
So yeah, I'd say the setting aesthetic isn't overly exciting. It is lit like a soap opera because it's a TV thing. So
I meant to do it, but I guess I didn't have time and I didn't think about it until right now. But I was like pondering if there's like a 6 degree of separation. If we can make it so every movie is connected or every episode.
You probably could, maybe incidentally, but you probably could somehow.
Something, I think we were going on.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say we can get Kevin Bacon on the show.
Yeah, that would be pretty great.
If we get Kevin Bacon on the show, but I mean, he's making bacon, doing other things. So.
That's true.
Making those sweet Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special checks.
That was not sweet.
Oh man, just fuck you. That was a great thing.
First.
Oh my God, you have no joy, Davin. You were joyless.
You can find I am not joyless. There's things I love, like Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country. That's joyful.
You have a small selection of things you love that you just go back to over and over again. Open up your world.
I did to Dr. Strangelove.
To a movie from the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, Murphy, I find myself a bit peckish.
Well, you're going to be starved for food because the movie morsels for Quest for Love from 1971 are few and far between.
I got a few I can add if we need to.
You know what? I probably am going to need to pick up a few from André here. So the first one is this was Neil McCallum's final film before his death on April 26, 1976, at the age of 46. Now that I realize that I'm not really sure who Neil McCallum was. I can't remember what character he was. I thought for some reason when I read that I thought it was Tom Bell's character, but
no, Bell famously was on this crime British show with Helen Mirren for many years when he's an older actor. That's kind of what made him. Most people know him from. Can't remember what it's called, but it's if you Google him, it's like the first thing that comes up. He was Prime Suspect. It was a big show in Britain with Helen Mirren.
Yeah. I remember that.
He was like on the entirety of that show as sort of a foil to her, but I don't think he was a bad guy. He was just like another cop that's a dick or something.
Joan Collins replaced actress Britt Eklund. Not too familiar with her work. And screenwriter Terence Feely used the titles of his own scripts for the names of the parallel universe Colin Trafford novels.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It seems like the case.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
And cinematography by Ernest Stewart, edited by Roy Watts, music by Eric Rogers, release date on 9th of September 1971, with a runtime of 91 minutes. Budget, don't know. Box office, don't know. And,
None.
Two two side notes I came across, which are pretty great, is most people know Joan Collins from Dynasty, which was a big show she was on. But when you ask, she actually is still alive and still acting. She was on American Horror Story in 2018. But she is, she in recent interviews, she said that her two favorite things were that she's ever done. Her favorite things were Dynasty, Decadence, and Quest for Love. So she loves this movie and thinks it's one of some of her best work. The other thing I wanted to mention was
she
this.
Was good in it.
She was very good, and she's beautiful. She's a good actress. This story was taken from a book, or a story called Random Quest by John Wyndham, who most people know because he wrote Dave the Triffids, which is a very famous sci-fi novel. He also wrote The Midwich Cuckoos, which was made into the Village of the Damned movies. He also did The Chrysalis and a lot of other things that are kind of famous sci-fi novels. So this is based.
They made a movie out of Triffids.
They made several movies out of Triffids, actually.
Yeah.
But he's written quite a few books that, like The Chrysalids and The Village of the Damned is pretty well known. The Day of the Triffids has like 3 or 4 different adaptations. So very famous science fiction author. So.
Well, what about rewatchability? For me, I don't need to see this one again.
I'm in no rush to rewatch Quest for Love.
I would agree. I'm not in a big rush. I wouldn't particularly suggest this, nor would I pull it out to show somebody because I need to show it to them. One of my favorite things is to show people movies I think they'd like, and I don't think this would ever come up.
Well, that's one of the key components to the rewatchability. Is just like, is this something you want to show somebody? Because that's usually what makes you rewatch a movie.
Yeah, often. I mean, there are movies that I deeply love and will rewatch.
Oh yeah.
One of them is in this episode, but
we'll talk about that movie.
But yeah, so no, not really.
Yeah, could have watched.
And the big question: does it hold up? I don't think it does. It's too drab. It's boring. It should end sooner. It has a few funny scenes. Like the best scenes in this movie are the science-y scenes. Like we each picked one. Each of our
that's because you like science stuff.
No, but like you guys did too. We each picked a science.
Because we all like science stuff.
But like those were the best parts of this movie, and they were few and far between.
I mean, if you like romance stuff, you're gonna like the romance scenes better than the science scenes. If you don't care about science stuff, you're not gonna care about that at all. I mean, obviously we're all nerds here, so we like the science stuff.
Well, we're here to express our opinions. We're not here to
That's
say,
fair.
hey, would somebody like this movie if they like romances? So does it hold up for you? For me, it does not hold up for me.
Yeah, that's fair. How does this go? Do I jump in whenever, or does Murph go first and I go last?
Doesn't matter. We're pretty cash.
Yeah, no. I mean, honestly, I think it's an okay movie. I think there's some good performances in it. I think it's fine. I'm not in a hurry to rewatch it again, nor would I really think it's something that would be shown as a screener. Like, I would try to approach this question analytically in a way that I'm like, would this something that would play at a theater that a bunch of people go to, or like if it was in a revival house, would there be a demand for that? No, I don't think so.
Or in like your movie night that you do, is this something?
Yeah, I would not show it at that for sure. So yes, I don't believe it really holds up. Sadly, it is a decent little movie, but there are a lot of things like it. And the idea of a guy who doesn't have a family because he's a workaholic, being shown a world where he does have a family has been done several times. Most famously with The Family Man, starring Nicolas Cage, and that's probably a better.
I'm not sure if that's most famously, but
name a more famous movie than that about that concept.
Like it's like every movie. That's True Lies. That's like
no, because that's not a parallel universe thing. Like this is where you're shown a world where it's like the It's a Wonderful Life. Like you're shown what life would be like if you zigged instead of zagged.
Big.
So, no, it's not a parallel universe.
Life would have made a good alternate reality film.
Big's a great movie.
Kind of. I don't know if it's really. Yeah, that's more of like a heavenly intervention kind of thing. But yeah, it probably would have worked. I guess wherever the parallel universe comes from, it's up to you to figure out.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So no, I'd say no. Murph, I'm assuming you're saying no.
Yeah, okay, so basically this is the last action hero of boredom, in my opinion. This film is probably the worst film that we have watched since Tingler.
Wow.
How dare you, sir?
I would
How
put
dare you? Tingler's great.
above this, and this is
Tingler's
the bottom of our barrel. I was
Wow.
very bored.
For me, it's not the bottom.
Do you guys feel like you're like this is up? And this is my question to you guys: is do you Like, do you feel like it needs to have action or something for it to be enjoyable?
I don't. Murphy often
What-
does.
no,
I find, and I get after him
he's-
about
he's
that.
So, he doesn't know what I want. What I want in a
He wants
movie-
good camera work.
Nope. There again, he's wrong there. Well, he's not entirely wrong there.
No, I'm not.
Well, Murph's the camera guy, so I can
No,
see
what
why
I
you appreciate
want in a good film, and if I can get this out before he interrupts me again, is I want characters I can believe in that just sort of like draw me in with the heart. I want good production in that there isn't anything that's going to rip me out of the experience of the film in and of itself. And I don't want to be like, is this over yet? If I'm thinking, is this movie over yet? I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to be grabbed.
That's an important one for me. That's
why I find film criticism interesting, because I love it. I mean, I like films. I like film criticism. I have a letterbox account. Every movie I watch goes on it. These ones all did. But a friend of mine once said, and I think he quoted someone else, that like, what makes a good movie? Because art is subjective. So what makes a good movie? He said, can you see? Is it well lit? Can you hear what they're saying? And I mean, that's about it.
It's
for me.
It's about the magic, all right? It's about the magic.
I agree.
Right? If you can successfully, from beginning to end, pull off the magic act, and there isn't a moment where I'm like, I know how they did this, and there's moments where I'm like, how the fuck did they do this?
Yeah.
That's when I'm like going over the top, and I love a film.
Great.
The moment the seams stand out, and it's like, that's where I start calling it out, and I like to point those out. And we watched previous films like Man on Earth and Primer, and I had very large gripes with those films. Andre, when you get to Primer, set aside an afternoon, because that's basically the last 2 hours of the last episode.
It is
him going back and forth on that.
Great.
Adam was on my side. He was
I'm
getting
actually
after
looking
Murphy
at that's
pretty
a movie.
good
It's
too.
been
Actually.
on my to watch list for quite a while.
It's my favorite movie. It's a great freaking movie.
That being said, the next film we're about to talk about, Coherence, is an excellent example of the things I kind of wanted out of Man from Earth and Primer.
Good.
Even though
It's a
it
similar
had its
movie.
flaws,
That's why I like it.
Yeah,
it was a
but
good film.
most of the flaws are budgetary, I feel, but that's
For me, what makes a good movie, it's like three things. One, it's just another form in which we tell stories. So the storytelling has to be there. If it's just a bunch of scenes thrown together, or I feel like it is, like a lot of our sea movies, I felt like were like that. Like that's what Southland Tales was for me. It wasn't a story. It was just someone jamming scenes together that I thought were cool.
Murphy, you're going to appreciate this, that often the movies I really want to watch are the ones that Davan passionately hates. They're the ones that usually make me go like, I got to go watch that. Like Southland Tales has moved up on my list of movies to watch.
He also said he agrees with me more than you on this show.
You
said that.
Yes, but that's like 60-40. It's not like an overwhelming lead.
I'll take a 60-40 split. Like I don't mind being.
I usually appreciate Murph's reasoning better than yours, but to me, I don't believe in waste experiences. I mean, sure, I've been in something for 2 hours where I listen to someone talk that I wish I didn't go to, but every once in a while, I think there's something from it that you can take away or learn something. If a movie makes me feel anything, like anything at all, whether it's like oh, for that character, or I'm scared, or I shed a tear, anything like that, I feel like it's a decent time. This one made me actually feel a few things, but like I said, it's not. I wouldn't say it's terrible. I wouldn't say it's great either. It's middle of the road for a 70s made-for-TV BBC movie.
It's a bit of a number crunch, too. It's just like, how much time do I have to put in to get those few moments of humor or feels or whatever you're looking
that's fair.
for?
Exactly.
And that's why, like, most of my criticisms on this podcast is that should have been shorter. And Quest for Love should have been shorter. Coherence, fine.
I feel like if this movie
the
had
movie after that should have been shorter. But
if this movie had a bigger budget, I disagree with you on that wholeheartedly. But if this movie had a bigger budget, I'm sure they could have put in, all kinds of exciting things. Where he winds up in another version. He winds up in another version of himself for like 10 minutes, or they probably could have done that more if they had a bigger budget. But from what they had, I think it's
add a little more intrigue and that type of stuff.
Exactly.
Him just jumping to one universe and just staying there is just kind of like okay, but like Groundhog Day had more than that going on.
Yeah, actually that could have kind of worked for this too.
Kind
I mean, I'd be more like
back in the
timeline
same
thing,
universe.
I guess
Yeah, that's more. Yeah, It could have worked in the time travel one, though, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I guess. But yeah. All right, let's move on from
let's
this
make Coherence of this.
But no, but the one thing I wanted to say is like what Murphy said about one thing he looks for is he doesn't want to say, I want to shut this movie off, or like I don't want to keep watching this movie. I take that idea and sort of take it down to the scene level a little more. If there are a lot of scenes where I'm like, I wish this scene was over, that's kind of cumulative and has the same effect for me. So it's like, and one thing we'll find with the last movie is I think they could have shaved like 20 seconds off like every scene in the movie probably, anyway, we'll talk about that movie when we get there.
4 minutes?
No, like that movie should have been 20 minutes to 30 minutes.
Save
short.
it, Davan. Save it.
Right.
I don't want to hear you speak a blasphemous thing about that last movie until we get to it.
Yeah, no, me and Murphy are well aligned.
It's a good movie.
Coherence.
It's a good movie
Too, shall we? Let's get in the
Yeah,
theater.
right.
Theater 2, we have
get all up in this.
Coherence from 2013, starring Emily Foxler, Maury Sterling, and Nicholas Brendan, directed by James Ward Burkett. That's not. Did I somehow miss the main actress? Yeah, I did. Oh well.
Didn't you say her name? Isn't it the
No,
Fox?
I don't think
Emily
that's
Foxler.
her.
Yeah,
That's
the
her,
main
isn't it?
actress. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's also
All
got
right.
one of my TV favorites. I'm getting her last name. It's Elizabeth. Oh, did I not write this down? Oh, I'm gonna hate myself for not writing this down.
You think she reminded you of an actress?
No. I know exactly what she's from. Basically, for the old show Highlander, The Raven. My mom was a big Highlander fan. Therefore, I am also a Highlander fan. And Mom.
That's a
loved
really
the Highlander
odd thing for a
show.
mom to be a fan of. That's cool. though.
Yeah, Emily Baldoni. That's the one I was looking for.
Emily Baldoni. Yeah.
That's her real name.
Wow.
That's this
I'm really
girl's real
pleased
name.
that I didn't write her name. I was looking at this. No, IMDb. Anyway, it's Elizabeth. Elizabeth, come on, Grayson. That's right, Elizabeth Grayson. She played the Beth character in the film. She plays the Highlander Raven spinoff because there was a Highlander show and then a spinoff with her character. Yeah, that's where I recognized her face. So when I saw her in this movie,
the one with the Karen haircut.
yeah, she's the one with the short blonde
Karen
hair.
haircut.
And,
Yeah.
yeah. The one that brings the ketamine.
Yes, the tall guy's wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I never watched The Raven. I watched the normal Highlander show with Adrian, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
But and I dug that. I mean, mostly for the Queen intro, but
Here we are,
Princes of the Universe. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Let's
get all up in this.
Refresh with
Let's
the trailer,
cohere.
shall we?
I love that old timey production company logo.
Oscilloscope. They made good films.
Amir's bringing Laurie to dinner.
Amir's a total jackass.
Did you know your friend?
Everyone else still not have service?
I got zero.
On the news, they're talking about the comet.
Yeah.
Wheeler's comet.
After it passed, people get lost. They would end up in the wrong home. And they keep telling people that this can happen.
The chicken tastes like
All right.
tuna. It must be Miller's Comet. The whole neighborhood is out of power, except for a house about 2 blocks up.
Mike, is that door locked?
I'll check it.
Baby, stay away from the door.
I can't stand this. I'm gonna go see what's going on. I'm sorry, but I'm going.
See that?
Oh my God.
This is bad. This is really
Wait,
bad.
what's the box?
That was at the other house.
Oh my God. Baby, what did you see?
Hugh, what did you see?
Do you know who to trust?
We don't even belong here.
Everybody knew about this.
thought
He
you
told
knew.
us.
He told us.
Everybody knew about this except me.
We have to just get through the night, okay?
We are not from his house. We are visitors.
I'm crossing all kinds of boundaries.
I don't want to be stuck here.
What is going on?
Sorry.
When you say the stars
Yeah, this is my kind of movie. My kind of movie. These are my favorite kinds of movies. Like, my favorite kind of movies are like my favorite kind of Star Trek episodes. They can just be people in a room talking, and it like they have a great concept, a great script. The storytelling is tight, so it's like it all fits together nice, and good performances. This is a good movie. I like this movie.
Yes, this movie for me had the things that was lacking in Man from Earth. Incredible lighting. Well, I wouldn't call it incredible, but good lighting. Lighting where I could see everything. Really good performances.
Whoa, Man from Earth had great performances. Tony Todd, John Billingsley. Man, come on now.
It's passable performances. This one had more believable performances. And maybe that was just entirely how they acted it compared to each film. Who knows?
This movie clearly had more money spent on it than Primer and Man from Earth.
I mean,
like,
yeah, the director actually.
Nicholas Brendan made more money on this than all the money spent on Primer, which was like $7,000.
Oh, I highly doubt that. The budget wasn't that high in this movie. You can kind of tell
yeah,
the way
but
it's
Primer, it was literally like $7,000.
Like, there are certain movies you can look
Primer
at and you
made
can tell.
7,000, but
Yeah.
Shane Carruthers made way more off of Primer than this movie made off of itself.
Yeah, I would say it's
Primer-
probably correct.
Primer's
'Cause
a better movie.
it built his career. This was sort of a side project for a director that already had done some things of note and writer.
Yeah, he conceived of this.
I don't
movie
know
because
this
he's like, what
James
if everyone
Wood
was
Burkett?
just in one room? That was his like inspiration for this film.
Hmm.
You know. Yeah,
That's what's
all right,
awesome because
well-
it forces you to write an interesting script. Like, I hate movies where it's just like we don't have to write any good script because we'll just jump through buildings and drive cars through trains, and like we don't have to actually write a movie.
Are you
write
particular-
people talking to
Are
people.
are you referencing a particular film series that may or may not have reached its 10th sequel recently?
It's a great example.
Okay.
This is like a great example, but like those aren't movies to me.
Yes,
They're not
Mission
even
Impossible,
movies.
you're
They're
right.
just things
I agree.
slammed together.
Tom
I don't like
Cruise.
Mission Impossible movies either.
No, I didn't see the last one, but a friend of mine whose opinion I generally respect when it comes to movies said it wasn't very good. No, this is a great movie. I think this would make for a great stage play. Actually, it'd be cool
Me
if somebody
too.
were to write
It would
this.
be a
as play.
really good stage play. Yeah.
It wouldn't be hard to pull off either.
Yeah,
I'll play
I don't
the
know,
tall guy
I
who
was
gets a head
digging this
wound.
film. I was digging this film. You know, like you said, Davan, the camera work isn't the greatest. There's a reason for that, apparently. We'll get into my movie morsels about that, but ultimately,
That's not
I
a
was able to
downside for me.
gloss over it.
Just
You
like
know?
it not in Primer. In this type of movie, that stuff just doesn't matter, really. Because it could be a stage
Yeah.
play, like Andre says. And on a stage play, you're like, oh, I would have enjoyed that play if the lighting had been a little better. It's probably not going to come up. Same deal. It's just like it's what the people are saying that matters.
I mean,
You can
honestly-
close your eyes and watch this movie and Primer.
I want to take a middle line sliding toward Murphy a little bit because I've been in plays many, but sometimes if you do something creative with the lighting that matches the theme of the play, it can enhance the experience.
Oh, you can enhance the experience.
I wouldn't say it's not a worthless part of the show. It's certainly important.
Like, I never disagree.
I never
with
saw The
Murphy
Man
that
from
Primer.
Earth, so I can't agree or disagree with how that is depicted. This one, it's lit okay. It's lit like it's. To me, it's lit like they didn't use a lot of like floodlights. It's mostly just
No,
lighting
they
in the
used-
house.
They-
Like
they
house
used-
is
they
normal
used
ambient
extra
lighting.
lamps.
They tried to make it look.
They've got like 4 extra lamps in each scene.
And they tried to make
Man
it
from
look
Earth is
like
the most static.
a more realistic, like because I'm not sure what the script looked like. I'm guessing it was probably a lot of ad libbing because they had it in a way that people would talk over each other and stuff, which is more normal the way people talk as we're doing right here. So it's movies. It's not like oh my god, a Sorkin script or something where it's all really tightly planned out and there's to every little pause. But
That's what Primer's like, and Primer, like you have to hang on every word in those.
Yeah, well,
movies.
so
this
it's-
one's not
well-
like that. It's just they just have to hit the story points.
Well, I
Here's the
mean,
difference.
it can very.
Primer
Good.
deleted a scene, and Man from Earth cut out 2 lines from its entire script.
Yeah.
Like I'll admit that's super impressive to be like, we're only cutting out these 2 lines, if anything, and that's it.
Well, this one, like I say, just more ad libbing. It's just they need to.
No, I mean, and if anything, like I find those movies sometimes get in their own way because sometimes it's tough when there's actually people talking over each other and all that sort of stuff to really to get all the pieces. But this one is actually, if anything, a benefit they did it that way because it does seem more like a normal thing. If you've ever spent time with friends, old friends at a dinner party somewhere, and I think this movie really captures how you can be annoyed by some of them. Obviously they say familiarity breeds contempt. So over the years, it does a good job of displaying that in a very realistic way.
Yeah.
But I think it looks more like a camcorder and filmed it in someone's house than an actually shot film. A good camcorder, but it's lit well. It looks real. Like it looks like I'm watching somebody that captured, a real life incident that someone just had to have a camera.
You can
for.
tell between forefront objects and background
Yes,
objects.
yes, absolutely.
It's well balanced lighting.
Yep.
Like they made full use of what they had, which is candles, lamps,
Lots of candles.
general house lighting, like lots of candles, lots of lamps. They did what they could with what they had.
How many times in this movie though did the whole group be like, "Oh my god, that's crazy. We shouldn't go over there," and somebody's like, "I'm going over there." Like that just kept happening again and again in this movie.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go over there. I'm just gonna leave it. It's just like, and then they come back just like, "Oh my god, we gotta stop going over there." But
I got a wild idea. Let's just knock on the door some more.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it also makes for an interesting concept behind the idea that, like, I often say I'm sort of, I guess, stoic in that I sort of believe that things just happen. You have to roll with them. But there's also a level of just like accepting that the universe is random and that you can't really control anything. And when bad things happen, they just happen. So I like that this movie even gives you the concept that even if you were smart and you didn't do anything, you stayed home and hung out with your friends until this passed, you're still not safe. So, as we see near the end of the movie. So,
the last 30 minutes of this film really tie it all together in a way that makes it like solid. Because I was wavering a bit middle. I'm like, okay, all right, I want to see. It was. Well, let's get into it, shall we?
Because all the things they talk about start to happen. All the things like, well, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, and they don't do. Other versions of them do, and it's just like, it's just like,
You said doo-doo.
Yeah, you said doo-doo.
Sorry, I didn't
Coherence 2013. 8 friends reunite at a dinner party in California when a comet is due to pass. Kevin, played by Maury Sterling, asks Emily Baldoni, if she wants to come with him on his business trip to Vietnam. And she doesn't give him a definitive answer. Mike Nicholas Brendan, another guest, is Emily's boyfriend. The gathering includes Laurie, played by Lauren Mayer, Beth, played by Elizabeth Grayson, and Laurie apparently is Kevin's ex-girlfriend, and Hugh, played by Hugh Armstrong, and Amir, played by Alexander Monaghan. Two of the other guests, they're all just gathering to have a nice little dinner, nice little get-together.
You notice they all sort of just play characters based on their own name.
Yes. So we're going to get into it early. This is my favorite scene of the film.
My friends. It's my own little
rescue
remedy concoction.
Right.
But it's our own mix. It's very safe, I think.
You want a needle for that?
You can drop it into some
She's
water.
so him-hawing
Just
this.
take the edge off it. In case you're worried, I don't know.
Just some ketamine.
It's echinacea, passion flower, a little valerian, and ketamine.
So it's all natural.
You meet a girl like this.
That doesn't sound natural at all. And that's a horse tranquilizer.
Yeah, but it's just like a whisper.
I did that once.
I just thought maybe
Are you offering this to
whisper.
me? Because
Well, to
Lori is
anyone,
coming
but-
here?
Well, I'm just saying.
Thank you, love.
I've watched this woman chop so many heads off.
Big deal, but it's
She's
right
offering
here.
ketamine
Yeah,
at a
you
party.
changed your mind. This
My
is
brain
nice.
couldn't handle
Where'd
it.
you get this?
Galaxy, that
Where'd you get this? Jade, stop it.
Oh.
Hi, baby.
What? I'm here. What? All right.
Hi. Hurry.
I like the subtle Borat reference in there. My wife.
Do you guys want wine?
I do.
Cheese? Ketamine?
Such a good line. Why is cheese ketamine? Only Xander could deliver a line like that with such like.
Considering how problematic his life seems to have become in the past few years, it seems like he was quite on the ball for this episode, for this show.
It was in between con rages.
I guess so.
Or law problems.
So yeah, these guys are basically having their dinner. They're getting through it, catching up. on old times, talking about their future. Eventually, they start talking about the comet that's breaking overhead, and Emily starts busting out this story about how this comet's has potentially appeared several times throughout human history, and there was a story about how this woman had a husband, and she was professing to the police that it couldn't be her husband because she killed her husband. And she starts dropping all these like sort of, precursor breadcrumb story bits that like is going to lead to the events that are later happen in the movie. Like these things have happened before, but they're just hearsay for the most part. These are stories. While everyone's gathered around the fire, are you afraid of the dark style? They eventually the power goes out, and that's when they decide to start busting out the glow sticks, the blue glow sticks. They gotta have
Which
light.
everybody has. Everybody always has boxes of glow sticks at their house.
Yeah. I've got a stack like in my closet somewhere right now. Actually,
Not just one box of glow sticks. I keep several boxes of glow sticks.
Multiple colors.
Also, 2 boxes of different colors, one of blue and whatever. This guy might just be a solid raver. Like maybe he's just
maybe.
Well, I mean, they got the ketamine. Like I said, if you meet a girl at a rave and she's offering you ketamine, go the other direction.
You better have a glow stick.
Maybe take it with caution. Who knows? The street. They notice that one house at the street still has power, and then they decide to investigate. But when they return, they discover that there's a broken glass that they hadn't noticed before.
Not power, lights on. There's light.
Yeah, there's light on. This sort of alludes to the first like crossing of the Great Black Void. And I think they ended up in the wrong house because this is like the first sort of clue that they may have ended up in a different house because of the broken glass that they didn't notice before.
Yeah. Because they're like, when did that happen?
Yeah. So Hugh and Amir decide to visit the other house to use their phone. And everyone's like, what do you mean use their phone? He's like, well, they got to have a phone. Come on, let me just go use their phone, right?
Because he keeps being like, because my buddy told me if something weird happens with the comet to call him right away. It's just like, what are you talking about?
His brother told him, which is awful convenient that like there's one person in this supernatural event that just happens to have a brother that is like a theoretical physicist that has a theory about what would happen when this particular comet goes overhead.
He sends him a book about gravitons or whatever.
Well, yeah, the wife had it in the back seat of the car, and he didn't even know about it until it became relevant later.
Yeah. So, Hugh goes off, and he ends up returning with a mysterious box and a cut on his forehead. The box is containing, like, a ping
What's in the box?
And photos of themselves. I've never actually watched that film, but I know.
Oh, wow. I think you'd love it, actually. Based on the posters on the walls behind you, I think you'll love it.
I've been meaning to watch it, but it's like I have it spoiled for me, so I'm like, okay, I'll just put it off until.
It's still good. It's still good. Good movies are still good, even if you spoil it. They shouldn't, but if they get spoiled, they're still good.
Yeah. They find that this box is containing a ping pong battle and photos of themselves, including one taken that night with the numbers on the back. And this is admittedly the point of the film where I was like, okay. Before you had my interest,
I thought the numbers were going to mean something different. I had a theory about the numbers that turned out to be wrong. Which is another thing I liked about this movie is it kept me on my toes. Like it wasn't predictable.
Yeah, this was not a predictable film in any.
I thought she was keeping track of which universe they were from. So I felt like she's like, these two are from Universe 1, these two are from Universe 2, and was doing it that way. But that's not
a dice
quite
game. Which I loved. It was a good little play. It's like, oh, it's actually we're gonna roll dice and this is our number. It's a little D&D style,
Yeah.
Where was I on my notes? They realize that the other house is an alternate version of their own, and Emily begins to write a note to the other house, but they soon encounter what appear to be copies of themselves carrying red glow sticks. Both groups quickly retreat to their respective homes. That scene I thought was pretty cool. Because they're creeping around, but
they just see them.
They just see them, and it's them, and it's like, what are they gonna do? And of course, their first reaction is just fucking run away from each other.
Just scurry off. It was so funny.
Scurry off. Yeah. It's like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like if I was in that situation, I would have been like, "Ma."
Yeah, I probably would have tried to talk to myself.
I would have tried to talk to myself. I've been like,
are you a murderous version of me? Yep.
Well, I mean, They do mention early on when figuring out what's going on here. And I feel like it might have been before the scene, but I'm not 100% sure. Well, they do figure out that because when the buddy comes back from the first trip, he says that they saw versions of themselves in the other house, or he fell down, he found the box, he saw himself, or he saw a version of everybody talking without him there in the house. And then that's where they start figuring out that it's something to do with parallel universes. And they talk about the Schrodinger's box thing, which, I mean, anybody that watches fiction or is into science, sci-fi, or theoretical physics, they probably understand the concept that, like, you know, that the quantum physics implies that if something is, you don't know exactly what something is, it stays in a state of flux. So you put a cat in a box, and there's a 50-50 chance of the poison being released in the box to kill the cat. The cat's somewhere between life and death. And they surmise that they're in a Schrodinger's box until this comet completely passes Earth. For this minute while it's passing overhead, it's converging in different ways. So they're all the same versions of themselves they were until the comet passed over and the power went out. After that, they start splitting in different directions based on decisions that they make.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they've all come to understand that the comet has like created a split reality, and one of these realities will collapse when the comet passes. So the tensions starts rising among this group.
And they told that story about the historically how it happened.
Was anybody else disturbed by Costco Jason Schwartzman? That guy looks so much like Jason Schwartzman, but going bald. It threw me for a loop. That guy in the right.
Guy.
Oh,
yeah. So much so.
I don't know.
So this is a mirror. This is played by Alex Manigan. This is actually one of the writers of the film.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So this is about the point in time where we come across Andre's favorite scene. So they've kind of started unraveling that, hey, we might not be the only ones of ourselves, and we start getting sort of revealed as an audience that there's multiple dimensions of these people.
It's more than just two houses, yeah.
And it's more than just two houses, and we get that whole red and blue scene. So this is Andre's favorite scene here.
So we'd established before that the house we knew at the beginning all had the blue glow sticks. This is when we realized these two aren't from the original house.
This is when I was so hooked into this film. This was the moment I was all in.
Yeah, ditto.
Get the fuck out of here. Okay.
It did take it up a notch. I was already in, but
take the box.
Yeah.
The box. Take it. This is what. Hey. You okay?
Where'd you go?
I need a drink. Hey.
It does escalate pretty quickly in that when they're like, okay, well, there's another house and there our house, and so we're both in the Schrodinger's box, which means that one of these realities may collapse. We're not quite sure how that's going to go down. So what we should do is kill all of them to ensure that it's our
Xander's
reality.
plan.
And it's like that escalates to a level that's pretty high, like really extreme right away.
Yeah,
so that was interesting. But it does kind of play a little bit into it because he obviously is a dude that he has a drinking problem, as we established, and he doesn't trust himself. So
he's an actor.
It's almost like he
was on the series Roswell,
which I thought was funny
because
that's
somebody
supposed to be a nod because he was actually on Buffy.
Yes.
Yeah,
but which is another show around the same time. But the idea that it's not so much that he's just a guy that's thirsty for blood. He honestly knows that the other him would think the same thing and doesn't trust himself, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Me too.
Yeah, so after much discussion, they decide against it, realizing it would only lead to more violence. So they consider stealing physics notes from the other Hughes car to hinder the other reality from gaining the same knowledge. However, before they can execute the plan, they receive a blackmail note indicating that there's another version of Mike is aware of their intentions. And as paranoia deepens, another version of Mike arrives, further unsettling the group. I believe this is roughly the point where Davan's favorite scene kicks off.
Someone in the house! Oh my God.
Someone in the house!
No.
It all happens very fast.
It's so fast.
Who the fuck? What's that?
Mike.
So Xander just killed Xander, and the reason I liked it so much is because, like I said, I was already in. I was loving this movie, and that actually made me chuckle. That was the only part of this movie
Davan and I
made me
talked
chuckle
about this a bit last night after the X-Men show because he didn't realize this, and I said, "Well, that's obviously why they cast Nicholas Brennan because he has a twin brother that acts as well." So Davan didn't know he had a twin brother, so it's like it's a good way to save money. Yeah,
Murphy
yeah.
didn't either.
There's an episode of Buffy where there's two Xanders, and it's actually his twin brother. Yeah,
I'm sorry. Xander has a twin brother.
yeah. Nicholas Brennan.
Does he have run-ins with the police as well?
I don't know, but he is a twin brother. Yes, that acts as well. I don't know if he's a full-time actor or he just acts when they need Xander to have.
They need a double Xander.
But the second I saw him come through the door, I was like, "Well, that's why Nicholas Brennan's here. So he can save a lot of budget on effects when he can just get a guy with a twin brother to play himself from different universes."
That's okay. So that's how they did that scene.
Yeah.
All right, I was like, that must have been good cutaway in like stunt work or something.
No,
I
is that
don't know. It was
literally his twin brother? 100%.
That's funny.
Yeah, that Buffy episode where he split into two people was also his twin brother. So yeah, he does get used. He does get used to occasionally.
And that was appetizers with Andre.
Yeah, I sprinkled them throughout the.
So yeah, basically, that sort of chaos unfolds. There's Elizabeth starts bleeding from the nose from, I assume, the stress. I thought it was like because of dimensional reality stuff, but she ends up like bleeding on Emily, and Emily freaks out. I think that her name was Emily, or I forget. There was one of the girls that just couldn't handle blood, and she like freaked out. But yeah, after
I don't think he killed Xander. He just knocked him out or something, didn't he?
He killed him.
Like, no, he didn't kill him. He just
he didn't kill him.
Like, he was still breathing.
Oh,
yeah, he just basically attacked him, hit him a couple
because
times.
they have a whole conversation later. So
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, at this point, the main character, Emily ventures outside in search of a better reality, because she's getting sort of like this is getting too wild. This is the part of the movie that I really like the most, and it's the scene I wanted to pick because it was really well edited. I just wish there was more from this scene. I would have liked to have seen like her just quick, rapid Edgar Wright style editing, opening like 10 different boxes with like a different item in each one to show that there's really way more than just like the 3 realities that they're trying to present. Like at this point, you come to realize there's way more realities that's happening throughout this Schrodinger's box of time bubbleness that's happening in this cul-de-sac. And I was really hoping, we would see more boxes to emphasize that, but it was really glossed over. She's looking through windows. There's points where you see people like tied up and beating, and she's like looking above and sees the comet's about to pass over, and she's like peering through windows. She eventually comes across.
I don't think an Edgar Wright style multiple cut thing really fits this movie, though. That would be distracting.
Maybe not an Edgar Wright style, but just like more just maybe 3 or 4 more shots of boxes opening. Like she opens a box, maybe she's peering, she opens another box. Just something to emphasize a few more.
Because this is
versions.
One of like these more immersive movies that I really like. These are the ones where I feel like I'm in the room, like Primer's the same way, Man in the Earth's the same way. Like you just feel like you're sitting in the room with them because there's nothing too fancy with the CGI or camera work or anything happening that makes it not feel real anymore. I like that type of realism, I think.
Yeah, I'm not saying that realism needed to be taken away. I'm just saying I personally would have liked to have seen her open about like
more clues,
5 more boxes with different objects to really emphasize the fact that there's multiple more realities. The way they did it, she opens like 1 extra box and then she's peering through a couple windows, and like it gets the point across. But I feel like
where would she get the more boxes?
She just opens. She does. What do you mean? Where does she get the more boxes?
Well, they stole that box.
Where they're putting the box. Yeah, one reality steals a box, but there's supposed to be multiple boxes because there's supposed to be multiple realities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they would have to go get those multiple boxes. Is all I'm saying. So when in the movie does that happen?
In this scene in particular, where she's wandering, she creeps up on the house where they all agreed they're putting a box, hiding a box. Yeah. She finds that box and opens it up and pulls out like a monkey doll, which was never talked about at any point throughout the movie.
Earlier on, they established that they like, because when they got to the scene where they found the photographs, like we're towards the end of the movie here, right? This is when she goes,
yeah.
So early on, they they establish, and she figures out that almost hardly any of them are from the original house, and that when they walk through the blackness to go to the other house, it's almost like they wind up in another reality. It's not two; there's a bunch of them. So and they all cross through it except for maybe two characters. So she figured out, based on deductive reasoning as to what was in the boxes when she asked them what was in the original boxes and stuff, because each one to figure out how their house was unique, put their own random item in, and then roll the dice to give themselves a number on the back of the photos so they can keep track.
Yeah, so Elizabeth and the other chick who was high on ketamine stayed in the house. And then
but everybody else is from weren't in their original house.
One was green, 4 was blue, 2 were red, or 4 was red, 2 was whatever.
And the hopelessness of it too, because those two guys are like, well, let's just go back and hopefully we land in our regular universe. And
and
even like, dude, that's impossible. Like the randomness of all this, even the chance that we're gonna walk through there and get back to where we want to go, we're stuck here. He even says
even the blackmail note, like when Nicholas Brennan's character thinks that he can stop himself from doing any violence against them by blackmailing him with the knowledge that he knows that he had sex with the other guy's wife earlier on. I think it was before they were together, wasn't it? Just when they were together?
Yeah, I was like wondering why it was such a big deal.
Yeah,
he was just mad he wasn't told. He's like, you didn't tell me.
But then another version of him from another universe does the same thing to him, and that sets off the whole insanity.
Yeah, it's when he gets the note on the door that you've come to realize, like, oh, there's more than just the 2, because they play it off like there's only the 2. And then you're like, oh, wait, there's actually 3. And then about 10 minutes later, you're like, oh, wait, there's probably like 500.
Yeah, because each of them in the house had...
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And
each
shadows
of them had,
and wandering,
Yeah, each of them had different items that they had in their box when they talk about it. So
could be an
and that's what
tips her off.
That's what I'm saying. It would have been really cool, just add, like, in the scene.
Oh, I see, like a flash
Emily
of each
wanders by herself, and she's okay. So Emily is desperate to find a happier version of her relationship with Kevin, so she's wandering through. She leaves.
Sorry, go ahead.
She leaves the place where she's like noticing the chaos. So she's like, okay, I need to find the place where me and Kevin are still good. And within that, she stumbles upon a reality where her double had agreed to go to Vietnam with him. And believing this reality to be better, she ultimately subdues her alternate self and plans to take her place. So she starts
to kill her.
To kill her and take her out of the picture, right?
What she should have done is knocked her out. What she should have done is knocked her out and dragged her to the Nexus and thrown her in.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have made more sense than trying to hide the body in a car.
Yeah, but like again, she leaves the house originally and she crosses the Nexus and she like discovers one box with a monkey and stuff in it. So I was wanting a few more boxes to be opened and really emphasize it. But she looks through windows and all that stuff. She eventually finds this reality, subdues herself, knocks her out, and then I think she knocks her out and puts her in the trunk of a car. But she gets out of the trunk of the car, starts crawling through the house. So she drags her into the tub or the bathroom and kills her. Takes her ring because in the struggle she loses her ring, so she takes that ring, which sets off an unparalleled, which kind of goes back to Primer if you think about it, because Primer talks about having to have, if you don't do the exact same things, it could set off a whole bunch of chain reactions. And the fact that she is
that's why they lock themselves in a hotel room every time.
Yeah, so the fact that Emily wasn't wearing her original ring because she lost it in the tussle, and she ends up wearing the alternate Emily's ring.
Yeah, and that ring was in the bathroom on the floor.
Yeah, that like enters this whole splitting thing. But the comet passes, her ketamine high is over. She wakes up. She thinks it's all rosy. Her and Kevin are gonna live well and stuff. But he comes to her and he's like, "Hey, I found your ring in the bathroom." And while she's looking at the ring, Kevin gets a mysterious phone call from her number, which raises suspicion that, the other Emily's alive, and then the fucking movie ends with this like huge cliffhanger. Leaves you uncertain about what's going to happen in Emily's true identity. And it's a really solid and spooky ending. The movie, it's sort of
quick
chill, and then it just like goes so
leave that look. He turns and looks at her, and that's when you realize like that look. That guy was a good actor too. But I love that idea. I didn't mean to cut you off earlier, but I was just excited about that. When it's like, who amongst us has been in a social situation and been so annoyed or pissed off with friends or other people, and you're like, just to leave it all behind and go find a better version of it that you can insert yourself into. Like, it's such a fantasy. It's so fun that they injected that into this sort of idea where it worked out.
Which performance would you hold up? For me, I guess it's Emily.
The main character?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very good.
Yeah, I'd pick Emily. I'd also pick Xander.
Xander.
Yeah, you know, like he was living his full like him, and it added to the cast. You know, that added.
He was kind of like a jerk the whole time. You're just wondering why all these people are his friends. Like,
Yeah, everybody has a friend like that, though.
Yeah, I guess.
Like someone you knew from when you were younger that you just hold on to, even though you probably shouldn't anymore.
I'd let those all go.
Oh yeah, cut them loose. Yeah, I agree. Probably the main girl. I mean, I like Nicholas Brennan too. The guy that played Hugo Armstrong, the tall guy, he actually was pretty solid. I liked him. I feel like I've seen him in other Canadian movies before. This seems like a Canadian movie, but
I don't think it is a Canadian movie.
no, but he might be Canadian. I don't know. He seems like someone I've seen in low budget somethings before. I'm trying to figure out what it was, but anywho, yeah, I liked him a lot. I thought he was pretty good, so I'll go with him just to pick something different than you guys.
Okay, setting aesthetic. I liked it. It's simple. Like I like that. I don't like too much fancy camera work. As soon as the camera starts spinning, I start to hate the movie. It was nice. It wasn't extra. It was just what it needed for the simple concept-driven movie. I liked it fine.
Oh, I know exactly what I know him from. He was on an episode of The Blacklist, which I used to watch. So, yeah, that's definitely where I saw him before.
I enjoyed the setting and aesthetic. Lots of warm toned lights and stuff like that. The camera work could have used. There's a reason why the camera work is so jumpy. And when I learned that, I was like, okay, I'm a little more forgiving. But like realistically, that was probably my only gripe with this film. Was like, there's a couple times I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, there were a few jumpy camera things, and almost like a bunch of like cuts to black, which I discovered. You're gonna bring this up as a Murphy morsel?
And like fuzzy cuts,
morsels, but
like,
it's more
out of focus
into the story that
there is a reason, but we don't really know what the reason is because they do.
I thought it was a design choice to like be like reflect the confusion.
It actually is. I was gonna save it for one of Murphy's morsels, morsels, but the movie cuts to black at like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 7, 9, 19, 27, 32, 34, 106, 118, 122, and 123. So that's why it seems so tight, because they all happen within like 2 minutes, a minute and a half. So he says they signify something, but he won't say what they are. So it's kind of like up to you to figure out what it is. But there's probably a pattern that's something to do with the event going on, or maybe a Fibonacci sequence or something that I don't know. But
I think from what I was reading, it's more or less to indicate the jumps between realities, because there is some theory that some of the scenes we're watching is actually of the different households.
Oh, those are the minutes, not the seconds. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. So it's the second minute, the third minute, the fifth minute, 7, 9, 19, 27, 32, 34, hour 6, hour 18, hour 22, and hour 23. So yeah,
I started to think we were viewing different households.
Yeah, so that may be it then. But because there was no divergent, like they said, there was no cut to black around 16, which was when the divergence happened between the realities. So we're not sure what else it means. It might mean something else. I don't know what, but people are trying to figure it out apparently.
Well, we've been getting into them anyway, so.
The movie morsels for the movie Coherence from 2013. The actor who plays Amir, Alex Manoogian, is also the co-writer. He was essentially the mole who helped guide scenes if the actors went astray. When Emily Baldoni leaves to find a new house, a deleted scene had her pass one where a seance is held over the dead body of Mike, played by Nicholas Brendan. Xander. The night M went searching for different houses was filmed the same night the director's wife had their baby. It was a home birth held in the same house the movie was filmed in.
Weird.
Instead of yeah. Apparently, she was willing to let the director make the movie if it was like within so many weeks or was within the home or something like that. She was like, okay, fine, you can make your film at our house. So instead of scripts, the actors would receive only a small paragraph that only they would see as their goals for the day. This allowed for the story to unfold naturally and create genuine reactions in the other reactors because they were mostly ad-libbing. The set only had 5 crew members, 2 sound guys, the director of photography, the director, and producer Lean Bausiger. B-A-U-S.
Murphy's determined to butcher every name
he's having a stroke
can for the length of this podcast.
Bausiger. The reason the cameras are so shaky was not so much a stylistic choice as it was giving the actors the freedom to go anywhere they wish to. So it was more or less playing off the actors ad-libbing and saying their lines. The camera works like, okay, we're going over here now, and it's like, so you guys just didn't block anything. Okay, sure. The filmmakers did not reveal.
Difficult for the cameraman. Yikes.
This is one I kind of
100%.
liked, and I'm curious. I assume maybe they just filmed an actual comic, but the filmmakers did not reveal how the comic was filmed, other than to say it was a practical effect. It seemed like stock footage to me, but whatever.
It was just fireworks.
A firework? It could have been a firework.
Just fireworks.
Maybe.
You know, like when they have those ones that disperse, you kind of it does look like it's trailing, which is cool, but the effect on that is pretty
they
neat.
have trailing fireworks. But...
And the final morsel, the characters and by association the film uses the terms for quantum coherence and decoherence exactly backwards. While the characters refer to an isolated independent quantum state as decoherent and therefore stable, in reality, a quantum state is said to be coherent when it remains isolated in such a way. Quantum decoherence occurs when the system interacts with its environment and is no longer in its preserved coherent quantum state. Cinematography by Nick Sadler, edited by Lance Pierre, music by Kristen Oren-Darude, release date of September 19th, 2013, the Austin Fantastic Fest, June 20th, 2014, United States. Running time of 89 minutes, a budget of $50,000 with a box office of $139,000 and $745.
Rewatchability. Yes, and here's another reason why. What you just said there, Murphy. 1 hour and 29 minutes. That's the perfect length for a movie. Movies used to always be an hour and a half. You could just count on it. Like, for the most part. Now you can count on everything being 2 hours and 20 minutes, and most of them can cut out 40 minutes, and it turns me off. This movie is the perfect length. I would watch it again.
Somebody's sowing their argument for the next movie early.
I know he likes to do that, doesn't
he?
he?
Yeah, he sure does. He leaves.
Well, that's part of this show too. It's relating these three.
No, it's you. It's you pulling seeds that you think you can use later as an argument.
That too.
I think this film does have rewatchability. I would definitely show a date this movie. I can't say I may rewatch it by myself again, maybe down the road. It has rewatchability. I'll let you two talk about this. I'll be right back.
But I'm not just sowing seeds. There wasn't one single scene in this movie that I had the thought.
You know, it was also an hour and a half long. Quest for Love.
What's it? Yeah, and it wasn't too long. Well, no, that's not true. It was too long because it just didn't have the depth of story. It was just a simple, it could have been a 40-minute play.
No,
it didn't need to be an hour and a half.
Yeah, but you can't have them running around it. You can't have them running around places and airports and whatnot in a place.
That was a long chase, though. That didn't need to be that.
You have to be a little more creative with some of that stuff. But
yeah,
100%. This holds up. It's a great movie, and I feel like knowing what you know after watching it would behoove you to go back and watch it again because you pick up things and notice things that you didn't notice the first time.
That's the same with Primer. This movie's a lot like Primer.
Yeah, they mentioned it. The director was not accused, but mentioned that it was similar to Primer, and he said, if anything, that movie just gave him the comfort to make this one because it showed him that there's a demand for this sort of movie. That movie did well, so he thought, well, I can do something that's similar. The movies are quite different, he said, but the idea behind keeping it tight in a box and doing that sort of thing came from that.
I would rather watch this movie 10 times in a row than 10 different Fast and the Furious movies.
No, I agree.
Like that.
I don't like the Fast and Furious movies.
I would watch 10 different movies than 10 Fast and the Furious
Yeah,
movies.
I agree. I'd rather watch
Hard
two
argument.
strange movies than I don't know anything about than that one.
But all right, well, it does hold up. We all agree, I believe. All right. So, we have an addition to the A list there. That's very good. So, moving on to Theater 3. We have Everything, Everywhere, All at Once from 2022, starring Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Sue, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Ke-Huy Quan. Directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. It's a Daniel joint, Dan joint.
They're called the Daniels. So they're
the Daniels.
Says, yes.
Yeah,
It's
well,
also produced by the Russo
it's a
brothers.
Daniels joint.
The Russos produced this? That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well,
that explains why it got such a great
cinematic quality to it.
Well, even just how it got out there. I mean, A24 is a cool studio that does a lot of cool movies. A lot of my favorite movies from the past several decades, past decade, have all been from them. So, they do great stuff.
I might as well just get it out now. This movie could have been shorter. I understand why you guys love this movie. I love this movie. But could I have loved this movie more if it didn't make me wish at least every third scene wasn't shorter? And that's a few scenes were just big misses for me. Like a couple of those universes they chose were just big misses. Like the sausage finger thing is stupid. It's just stupid. It wasn't funny. And that scene with the butt plugs was awful to watch. It wasn't funny. I'm not 10 years old. That's not funny. Like,
that was hilarious.
And that was super long. So this scene that I didn't find funny anyway just kept going on and on. And every fight scene was like that. They just kept going on and on. It's just like, okay, move on. And they were like that with the points in this movie too. There were some beautiful scenes, like especially the one I picked as my favorite scene. But like, there's a few points that they hit with this movie, and they just hit you with them again and again and again and again. And I understand that's like a style of filmmaking with this like long protracted scenes, but like it doesn't work for me. They need to be tighter. I don't want to sit there for 2.5 hours if I don't have to, and I didn't have to here. So that's my negative thoughts. But the rest of the movie I love. I
don't think we're going to convince you otherwise, so I'm not even going to bother trying. But I disagree with everything you just said.
Yeah,
well, that's fine. Like if you think jumping on butt plugs and having a fight scene is entertaining for 5 minutes, like for me it's not.
Davan,
it's so long and not funny.
Davan,
and the sausage fingers thing is not funny. Like
it's not meant to be funny.
No, but it's meant to be an alternate universe that could possibly exist, and it's not that. It's
so
not
you
a choice she made that changed her situation in her life in that universe. It's a stupid thing that happened in like caveman times that couldn't have happened. It was just dumb.
That's the point.
It like took away from the point they were making.
No, you're not embracing the absurdity of it. What about the world where they're just rocks? Like that doesn't make sense either. There's no life there. Why do the rocks talk to each other?
I like that gag.
But it's
like
the absurdity of it. Then they really.
I understand
that because
but
there's
just
everything.
Some of those didn't land for me. I understand that they're there for the absurdity, but they just didn't land. Like that one, I didn't. Every time they were in that sausage figure thing, I'm like, oh, it's so dumb.
The only way to connect with an alternate universe is to do something unexpected.
Weird and
unexpected.
Yeah,
and that was
which I liked. I loved that story element.
And that was a weird and unexpected thing.
True, it's just it wasn't funny, and it wasn't funny enough to last for 5 minutes.
Funny, sir.
I found it very funny. The sausage fingers thing I thought was great. The throwback to 2001 with the monkeys.
What was great about the sausage fingers thing?
Because it's so absurd. It's like, why do you like?
So basically, anything they could have produced that's absurd is entertaining. Like,
well, that's not the. You're making it sound like that's the whole point of the movie. There's small side joints to show the possibilities of a parallel universe in the multiverse.
Yes, and some of those possibilities just didn't strike me as possibilities.
Okay,
the
so
reason the rock thing didn't bother me is because it was just like removed from that. It was
okay,
like
what do you think is more entertaining then? Do you think it's if she so later on using the ability
more real, it had been a little more realistic than sausage fingers.
Yeah, so later on she has to use her feet to get out of a situation. Yeah. So she needs to tie into a version of herself she experienced in which they use their feet a lot. So that's when she goes back to the sausage fingers universe, because their fingers are basically useless. They just produce mustard and ketchup and then go around all the place.
But
So
like
she
again,
ties it-
fingers
What-
that produce mustard and
what's-
ketchup, that's too much for me. It's like it's
Okay.
not just absurd, it's
Gentlemen,
just dumb.
I'm just gonna say this, gentlemen. I love your use of produce, but let's be serious. They're ejaculating mustard.
Yeah,
and
100%.
from those
Yeah,
fingers.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
That's
But like
just-
it's
I don't
like
know, that's-
absurdist. It's like absurdist comedy. Like you guys talked about Airplane. That's just as absurdist as some of the stuff in this.
I found Airplane a lot funnier than the absurd stuff.
Because it's from the 1970s, they were 80s.
and
that's why.
it for me, it's more.
It was
To me, like the
word-based
absurdity
humor.
wasn't
He's
the.
not a visual man. He loves his
It's just-
words.
Well, no,
He
it's
loves
just
his words.
it's the absurdity's not the point. The point of this movie is the touching
That is
stories between
absolutely
the mother
the
and
point
the
of
daughter.
this movie.
No, then you missed the point of the movie, Murphy. The point of the
Damn
movie
it.
was a.
No,
You missed the point of the movie.
You think the point of this movie is absurdity and not a story between a mother and a daughter and a father, like a family.
Finding
story.
love through absurdity. Yes.
Yes,
It's
that's
not
the
about
point.
finding love through absurdity. It's about
It's fu- it's-
appreciating the things that you have.
Well, that's a
and
little
the
bit of
choices
it, but
that
it's
you've
about,
made
make,
because
it's
they
about
can-
connection. It's about making
It's a-
connection, and also
the-
it's about the relationship between parents and their kids.
And about the decisions you're making, even if they seem unremarkable and disadvantageous to you, still can lead you to something great. Is what.
But it's also looking for meaning when you don't have to, and finding.
It wasn't
joy.
the absurdity. That was just a
no,
thing
no,
they
it
threw
totally,
in for
it
comedy.
totally is too. No, it is because it's about how insane and random life is, and all the ridiculous stuff it throws at you, and how you can be overwhelmed.
Yeah, it
by
is
how
about that.
insane
It is about
everything is, and that the only connections we make are the only things that make sense that we can find that connect us are the people that we want to be with, and that's
So this is essentially a Taoist movie. Like the Kehi Kwan characters.
exactly. But like
the Kehi Kwan
it's-
character is like the description of a Taoist sage. If you read into any like Taoism, which is they come off as like kind of simple, kind of like naive, and just sort of like, oh, let's just roll with it and be happy. So that's like sort of the description of a Taoist sage. So he's like representing that, which this is like a Taoist movie, so I was totally into that theme. And just like, so I love a lot of things about this movie. It was just some of it didn't land, and a lot of it was too long. But
I just have a question, Davan, and this is outside of the film thing. Do you and I'm going to look at you very closely when I ask this question. Do you purposefully pick things to make antagonistic to make the show more entertaining?
I didn't pick this movie.
No, I'm not saying that, but you pick elements that are against public opinion just to create some tension in the show to make it more exciting.
No, I find I don't enjoy a lot of things that the mass public does. The mass public loves to go to Transformers movies. Thinks
Okay,
the new
actually,
Star
that's
Wars
more
movies are
telling.
good.
That's more
Like,
telling. That's more telling.
Because
this
I don't
movie
like
was
that kind of
popular.
shit.
No, because this
Like-
movie was popular, you don't like it as much. If this movie
No,
didn't
no,
do
not at
well,
all.
and if it-
I like
yes.
this movie a
No,
lot.
No. Yeah, you did.
I think you
You
guys
did.
are
You
so
did.
in love with it, you're overlooking its flaws. I think you love the fact that it got the amount of awards it did. And
Davin,
sure, so do I. It
Davin,
was a great movie.
Davin,
but like, you're
Davin,
so in love with it,
Davin,
and like the praise it
Davin,
got, you're
Davin.
overlooking
No,
all the problems.
the
with it.
praise it got has nothing to do
Davin.
with it. It's what I feel about the movie and what I took.
Davin.
Yeah, and I liked it a lot too.
Davin, how can you flaw a perfect film?
It's not
well,
a perfect film because
it is
it's
very
it has
much a
ton
perfect
of,
film.
Look, I watched
There's
this show with
moment in
Tiffany.
this
She
film
liked it
that
a
was
lot less than
wasted.
I did.
There's
fine.
a moment
was
in this film that was
like,
wasted.
If a perfect film, like, yes, there's a ton of things that were wasted. I can point them out when we get to them. There's a ton of scenes that just go
Let's
for
get refreshed with the trailer,
forever.
shall we?
All right. I
Forever.
can't believe we haven't even got to this part yet.
Mrs. Wang. Mrs. Wang.
It's trying to be too many
Mrs.
thing.
Wang, are you with us?
Like you can have a 2-minute
Davin,
sword
shut
fight
up.
scene in a kung fu movie.
Now
This
you
is
in a kung
everything
fu.
I wanted out of
Davin, what's the movie
Strange
called?
Multiverse of
Story.
Madness.
Everything everywhere all at once, but that's not what
Yeah,
they're
I can
talking
see
about.
where this story is
So
going.
is the point to be every kind of movie?
Yes.
That's a bit. That was a
It's
bit
making me
much.
overwhelmed. Like modern world makes you.
It took me like a minute and a half to realize that was Jaemeel Curtis. She should have won an award for this because it didn't even seem
She
like.
did win an award for this.
Oh, did she?
What's happening?
Oh, good. It was crazy. I was like, oh my god, that's Jaemeel Curtis.
I'm not your husband. I'm another version
She was
of
scary.
the universe. I'm here because we need your help.
Very busy today. No time to help you.
Across the multiverse.
I had to get used to his voice though. It's so high I thought my TV was broken for the first couple minutes of this movie, and Tiffany thought it was a voice coming from off camera. It wasn't his character.
There's a great evil.
It's so
That's what
hot.
the multiverse is.
I love that
And
scene.
you.
That scene right there, that little cut with the head twitch.
Maybe our only chance of stopping it.
Don't make me fight you. I am really good.
I don't believe you.
Wow, that was really good.
He's waiting in the wings.
The universe
He speaks of senseless things.
is so much bigger.
Written you
This movie makes its point, and then it goes on for another half.
Of all the places I could be, I just wanted to share with you.
Remember, our mission concerning the fate of every single world of our infinite multiverse.
There is no way I am the Evelyn you are looking for.
Every rejection, every disappointment has led you here. To this moment. Don't let anything distract you from it.
What's Jaemeel talking about? Folks are crashing.
I'm not sure what he means by that.
What are you talking about, Jaemeel?
Going to sleep, maybe? It's pretty late.
Is that there-
That's something Jaemeel would comment on?
Not usually.
This film, my initial thoughts of this film was it was perfect. It was not
Well, here's
wasted from
Jaemeel.
beginning to end. Oh my God, are we getting a we're
Getting some spare change.
Oh, he's muted. No,
No, he's here.
I'm here.
oh, okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Totally here.
Some spare
I
change
was
with
I was
Jaemeel.
watching you on a secondary screen.
Oh.
Ah.
We're
Welcome
just
to
Oh, we're
Everything,
getting blasted.
everywhere,
Folks are
all at
crashing.
once.
We're getting. That's what he means.
Oh my goodness.
Everything everywhere all at once. We're all here.
Is everyone just gonna pile up on me and tell me it was a perfect movie, even though like 20 times I was like, I'm done with this scene.
Davin, just because
in
you
this
have
movie.
an opinion that differs from the group doesn't mean that yours is more valid or righter than anybody else's.
Well, I
You don't
know.
like
That's why I'm
aspects-
seeing if everyone's
if
gonna
you don't
pile
like
me on.
If you don't like well, no, but you're using absolutes in the way you're describing these phrases. You're saying, "Are you
Like
all going
what?
to tell me that I'm wrong because I know it's not a good movie, or it's not sorry, not that, but like I know that it's not a perfect movie." And like that's it's all opinion. It's subjective. It's art. If you don't like aspects of it, that's fine.
You don't like art?
Exactly, but this is an opinion show.
Yes, but it's not screaming at each other where my opinion is better than yours. If that's what it is, then
Well,
I don't know.
it's
not a
Davin's show,
criticism.
so
It's not a criticism show.
Exactly, it's sort of what it is.
Davin yelling
I'm
at
sorry.
everybody that disagrees with him.
Andre, I disagree. I think that this movie had way too much emotion. I didn't want any emotion or connecting to
You
the
want no
characters.
emotions.
I just want plain sci-fi.
No, I like the
monotone-
emotional beats. Those
Well,
are the
I have a
best parts. You'll
lawyer-
see my favorite scene pick.
Jaemeel, I have
Those
a
were
movie
the good
for you.
parts.
I have a movie for you.
The
It's
butt
called
plugs that lasted for 5 minutes didn't
Jaemeel,
entertain
I
me.
have a movie for you to watch.
Great.
It's called Battlefield.
Yeah,
Earth,
see?
and you should watch it.
Exactly. That wasn't funny, Dave, was it?
No.
Butt plugs jumping around for 5 minutes isn't funny unless you're 12.
Folks, that was a
I
call
think-
back to the primer episode where Davin went on a tirade about
Haven't finished that one yet.
emotional sequences. Like it's a perfect movie. It's a perfect
Well,
movie. but-
that movie didn't need emotion. This movie, that was the highest point.
Listen to yourself.
I can enjoy different movies for different things. You guys can't. You guys need every movie to be the same. Is that why every movie and every TV show seems the fucking same now? Because they
If
all
you
have to do
think
the
that
same
every movie
set
and every
of generic
show is the
things.
same, then you are not watching.
This movie had some differences. This movie was quite unique.
Davin, there is a lot of shows, a lot of movies that are very different. Okay,
And a lot of them that aren't. And
Well,
a lot of them that
Everything
aren't.
can't be Deep Space Nine, Davin.
Yes, Davin, but we're not the
That's
ones
true.
that
Nothing
create-
can.
We don't control
Nothing can.
television and your frustrations with it. So,
yes.
Sure. But I'm not going to try to gloss over the fact that content is just churned out, and no one cares if it's good or not. It's just there to be exist.
This is a point that is totally beside anything we've talked about up until this point.
Well, not really, because I was saying like I can enjoy different movies for different things,
and that just
like I'm getting
off your mental path sometimes.
Yeah,
I was told that it's hypocritical for me to like Primer because I didn't need emotion in that movie, but to enjoy emotion in this movie makes like
Murphy.
a
What
hypocritical
it
point.
is it's when you have an animal cornered and it just lashes out. That's what it is.
No, you guys need to explain. You got to explain your point, Jaemeel. What were you saying then?
What? Dude, obviously, I was making a joke about what happened previously in Primer and the reaction that occurred. So I made a commentary about everything everywhere at once, and I compared it to Primer. That's it. It was very surface level, David. Come on.
Okay, I dug too deep into that, did I? Okay.
It is very soul.
You saw what I posted about Davan. Sorry, inside baseball folks. There was a chat about Primer and the reaction to it. I said I liked the movie. I had issues with it. You like this movie. You had issues with it.
Exactly.
Welcome to a movie podcast.
800 texts
Exactly.
about this Primer argument, like the chat one morning. It was just like, oh my god.
Primer looms large.
Sometimes this episode
Primer
spills
looms
over to our
large.
private chats.
It does.
It's a thing.
It was in the Star Trek chat. I'm like, this isn't even a Star Trek thing you're talking about.
Often I just send Davin messages about why I disagree with stuff he said on the show. So it's just like after the episode, just a bunch of chats going like.
I can tell when he's listening to the show because I start getting messages.
Yeah,
I have to go back. I missed the whole Coherence.
Good movie.
Section,
generally loved by all, actually. So
yeah. Not a lot of bad things to say about Coherence.
No, we're all pretty aligned on most of this. So yes, thank you for suggesting.
Because it wasn't 20 minutes, 40 minutes too long.
All right. Well, let's get into how long everything is. I'm gonna start breaking this down a bit. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, 2023, Part 1. Everything. We get this opening beautiful shot, slow pan, push camera. These guys are singing their hearts out. I loved it, and then it gets like a quick little.
Oh, I couldn't figure out what they were
doing. The editing in this film is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is very good.
Yeah, that really is
so fucking good.
Like
As
that
an
shot where
editor-
it's just her in like 1,000 different, makeup and clothes and everything. Like that just took
like
a
the
day
billion
just to do that.
universes.
You actually can look
5-second
at all.
scene.
They have frames of all of those available online, so you can see every single one.
That's crazy.
And
they
also,
probably reused a few. Like it was probably like.
They also did a Rubik's Cube you can buy from A24 that has all the different versions of her in each one that you can connect and make the full things.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which is cool.
All right. So, Part 1, Everything. Evelyn Kwan Wang, played by Michelle Yeoh, is a Chinese-American woman running a struggling laundromat with her husband, Wayman, played by Ki Kwei Kwan.
Short round.
Kwei Kwan.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's happy to be called that for his whole life.
In the lead up to the Chinese New Year, their business is under IRS audit, which adds stress to their already strained marriage. Evelyn's father, Gong Gong, played by the legendary James Hong, has just arrived from China to stay with them, and Evelyn's daughter, Joy, played by Stephanie Hsu, and her girlfriend, Becky, played by Tally Metal, also joins the household. The tensions escalate as Evelyn is unable to accept Joy's lesbian relationship and introduce Becky as Joy's good friend to, during Gong Gong's visit. And things start to get even stranger turn when... serve Evelyn, blah, 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 yeah, things start to get a strange turn. Wayman's trying to serve Evelyn with divorce papers. This film is a slow burn, but it starts getting really interesting and good so fast that, like, I don't know. I loved this movie from beginning to end.
I like how the three acts are split up, into the three parts, everything, everywhere, all at once.
It didn't need that last 10 minutes. That third act, which only lasted like 10 minutes, it didn't need it.
I will say that I got sold on this movie.
Never mind, it's perfect.
I came into this movie blind, right? So I did not get sold on this movie until part 2, right? And that's not to diminish part 1. Because sometimes you got to be in the room and you're not gonna like everything that is served to you, but when the entire meal is finished, you're like, I enjoyed that meal, and that's certainly how
That's
I
my
feel
feelings about this movie.
It's like if you want to get to something crazy, like if you want to get to a destination, you need to get there. You can't just start it in the second act. You need to put the piece in place so when it goes gonzo and there's butt plugs everywhere, you can do that. You have to set all that up in the first one. You see what the awards look like, in the first act and all those sort of things that lead. It's also a subtle nod to how the system just fucks you, which is why they give like all the people that work for the IRS butt plug like awards and stuff like that. But there's a lot of subtle humor in there that becomes very overt humor as the time goes on. But yes, I mean, I don't know, I really do believe this movie is pretty perfect. So I think everything that's put in place kind of all pays off really well, especially if you pay attention. There's a lot of little things that do come back and reward you if you're looking.
There are. For me, just though, like some of the fight scenes just are quite long. And if your movie's already pushing over 2 hours, then why did they need to be that long?
Well, a lot of this is a throwback to old Asian cinema.
I understand that. It's trying to be a lot of things, but like
it's always
there's a point where making your movie shorter does actually make it better. I understand that he wanted to do a lot of things, but it was just you can make those lot of things a little bit shorter, and it's just a little bit tighter, and you're not sitting there for 2.5 hours. And
I don't mind.
There's obviously elements of this movie you didn't appreciate because if you are really into a movie, it doesn't feel like it's 2.5 hours to me. Anyway. It goes by.
I agree.
If you feel the time, then you're not enjoying it on a different level.
Yeah, I was feeling the time at parts in this.
I felt the same. I felt it was a little too long. I just looked it up. It's only like an hour and 39 minutes. It's like
my God, it felt longer.
139.
No,
sorry.
yeah,
no,
it's over
139
2 hours.
minutes.
Yeah.
It's only 2 hours and 9 minutes.
2 hours 20 minutes.
Or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
it should have been a 2-hour movie. It would have been. I would probably be there with you guys on it being a perfect movie. I still wouldn't like the butt plug scene.
My thing was it was a little long. It did drag. I felt like even though I really appreciated all the emotional beats, and it got really weird with this. Like as much as I love that this is like the first science fiction movie to win an Academy Award, Best Picture, and was even one of the few to be nominated. I think like the weirdness.
Also by a very small studio. Like a studio's not a big studio, so
right. Like it just got a little bit too. I don't know. Just like it took me out.
Sausage fingers. Did you like the sausage fingers?
No, I did not like the sausage fingers.
Not everything were hits. It wasn't all hits.
To you, they weren't hits.
So the good news about it being very weird is once you push it so far that anything else kind of is like, well, it isn't as weird as that movie that we gave Best Picture.
That's what I was trying to say earlier was that like Davan was saying it's just so weird and does not need it. And I'm like, well, the story eventually leads to a point where she needs to use her feet. So she uses the world where she doesn't have fingers that are usable to learn what that Evelyn learned, to be able to use her feet to get out of a situation. Now, what's more
there's a lot of things they could have used to explain that. She could have got
exactly.
injured.
But what's more interesting or fun in a movie of this caliber? To have something ridiculous in that universe that's kind of funny, or to just have her hands burned in a fire, and that's the Evelyn.
That would have been more human, I think, and would have added a little more.
That's not the fucking point, Davan.
But for certain, there's no overload of absurdity for you guys.
No, the
where
only
it just starts to bounce off you and you don't care anymore.
No, because
getting
I fell
fed
in
absurdity.
love with the concept of the film within the first.
I
10
did too.
minutes,
I
so
love
get
the
to watch
concept.
the rest of it without questioning every scene that's put in front of me.
Well, coming from you, who questions every camera movement in every movie, that's something.
If it's fucking apparent to me, then I'm gonna question it. But this movie was seamless.
There's obviously, based on how often Davan's brought up, 2 scenes. There's 2 specific scenes he doesn't like.
2 specific
the butt
scenes.
Plug
You know what
sausage.
scene I haven't gotten past, which is in the first 30 minutes of the film? The elevator scene. In the elevator, the IRS building, Wayman undergoes a sudden personality shift as he's briefly possessed by a version of himself from an alternate verse, the Alpha universe. Evelyn's connected to a headset, experiences flashes of a significant moment from her life, including her father's disappointment and her marriage to Wayman. And in the birth of joy, Alpha Wayman explains that every choice creates a new parallel universe and warns of imminent danger. He hands Evelyn a set of instructions written on the back of the divorce papers. During their IRS meeting with Inspector Deidre Bobedra?
Yeah, it's
Deidre Bobedra.
Deidre Bobedra, that's her name. Yeah.
That's okay. That's hilarious.
That's clever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Played by Jamie Lee Curtis, Evelyn's decides to follow Alpha Wayman's guidance. She swaps her shoes and envisions the janitor's closet and clicks the green button on her headset. She is transported in the janitor's closet where Alpha Wayman elaborates on the concept of verse jumping. Okay? Like, this is the moment in the film where it's like, okay, here's the whole setup. You're multiverse jumping. This is how we do it, and you're on for the ride. You're buckled in. I don't know what more craziness or less craziness you need to be into this. So before
you
can
could replace
further,
a scene with sausage fingers for a scene that's like showing a different dimension of the daughter-mother relationship or the Wayman her relationship.
Well, no, that
you
world was,
add to more of the human moments and do less silly bullshit.
Well, Davan,
But the sausage-
no, there's a very human moment there. I mean, that's
Yeah.
when she shows sympathy towards Deidre Bobidra, because in that world they're lovers. Like, that's where she finds empathy for someone that didn't give her any reason to have empathy for her before. Because in that world they're partners.
They could be partners in that world without having sausage fingers.
Yeah, you
that's
just
all
take
I'm
the
saying.
sausage
That part
fingers,
works.
that's why.
Yes,
Because it was the one
stupid.
universe where there was a sausage monkey that won a fight or something.
Which
Like,
is so
what?
dumb. And then we have all these. Our world adapted the exact same way, regardless of the fact that we have sausage fingers that produce ketchup and mustard.
It's a parallel
we
universe,
use our feet
Davan.
to
Everything
craft
is
things.
possible. Everything and anything
It-
is possible.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Anything
stretches
and-
credulity.
It stretches
parallel
credulity.
universe.
Oh God.
Everything is possible.
So before Wayman can explain any further, evil Deidre intervenes and kills Alpha Wayman. And then back in the real world, Deidre agrees to give the family another chance to submit the receipts by 6 p.m. However, fearing more attacks, Evelyn punches her, and she then realizes
that
that the
she's the evil one,
instructions...
yeah.
The instructions were on the divorce papers, which women had already filled out.
I gotta say one thing, because here's the flaw in the concept for me, and it's like this multiverse in which they live, things are so very much the same that just her putting her shoes on the other foot is so weird that qualifies as a weird thing that will activate
No,
this
that's
device.
established a little later on when Wayman explains to her that in her world, herself, Evelyn, in this world, chose every wrong decision she could have ever made. So there's he says that all of your failures, all of your wrong choices, everything that when you zigged,
Yeah.
you could have zagged, and you always chose the wrong way. Your whole life has been every wrong decision. So
She's the
because
worst
of that-
version of her. Yeah. right.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
No, because of that, herself is almost a chosen one, because like her possibilities are wide open because she limited almost everyone she had before.
No, I understand that. I'm not.
You
I'm not
don't,
talking
because
about her
your decisions you made
specifically.
before.
No, but I'm not talking about her specifically. I'm talking about this world. So you can even get rid of her and just take in the guys who jump on the butt plugs. So this is a world where jumping on a butt plug is super weird.
No,
That it will activate. That it will count. What?
No. Okay, so the shoe thing.
so you-
the shoe thing. It's limited to each individual person. So
Yes.
those guards in the butt plugs weren't the people from that world. They were people from other universes living in
Yeah,
the
they were
bodies
the
of
chaser
people in
guys.
that world. So
Yeah.
it's their decisions based on their people
Yes.
being in the bodies of other people in this world. It's not the world itself. It's the event. It's beyond the world. It's how
yes,
everything
yes,
works.
but the events. But I'm talking about the events. So these events qualify as a weird event. All these like kind of weird little things they're doing. Like they're
Unexpected,
considered
yeah.
so weird across the multiverse that they qualify as a weird event. That's the whole point. It's something that wouldn't normally happen, so it activates this
But
device.
it's actually kind of a specific unknown event.
But-
It's an event that you wouldn't
activates
normally
the
do, but
device.
you need to do a certain thing to get access.
Yes,
to a
I understand
certain
it needs to be a
yeah.
certain thing to get access to a certain thing. I understand all that, but I'm just saying these things qualify as weirdness. These are weird events,
Unexpected.
But in a multiverse where sausage monkeys can evolve to shoot like
so hung up on the
must
He really
this
is.
is the world. You guys just want to. That's what I'm saying. You guys want to gloss over anything that could be a problem in this movie because you're
It's
in love
not
with
the
it.
world.
But
It's
what?
another.
Then let
I
me
don't
finish
find
my
it a problem.
point. Then let me finish my point.
Go ahead, finish your point.
So in a multiverse where sausage monkeys can evolve a world exactly like ours and shoot mustard and ketchup out of their fingers, none of these weird events are weird. Nothing is weird. Like there's no activating any weirdness because there's nothing weird compared to that. Like that's like it just shatters the whole world. If they kept it a little less absurd, all these weird events would have been
Evan,
funnier.
You're
and, like,
saying that it shatters the world because
Yeah.
you assume that just because this one thing that's weird happened, everything else must be wacky in this world. But realistically, it's only that one thing.
Well,
So
like,
everything
that's
else
what I
is
was
same.
trying to explain. So they say within it that in order to get a skill from a universe, like say I want to go get an Andre that knew Kung Fu. Now, because Evelyn has so little potential, like her potential's so big because she hasn't done it.
she's not good at it.
That small things can, like, she has so many versions of her that can do so many different things in all the other worlds. So you need to get a certain event to get. It's almost like a map. You need to do something unexpected, but it
Yeah, I'm not
also
confused
but
by that.
Listen, no, I'm explaining it, but it also connects to that. Like it's like a roadmap. If I need to get to Andre with
Yeah.
Kung Fu, I need to put that
Mhm.
pen into my ear. But that's the event that gets me to that one. So there's specific things you need to do that are unexpected in a normal life that lead. That's the roadmap to get to the.
Yes,
reality
I
that
understand
gives you
all
the things
that.
You want. Then
My
why are
point
you even
is
questioning it?
like because to say in a world, like even in like in the quantum
In a
uncertainty and that exists in the vastness of the multiverse, some things are still not possible, and humans, to the evolutionary point where that happens, where all of a sudden now there's just these finger monkeys, like
Finger monkeys with ketchup.
It's too much. It's taking it too far. It's just taking it too far. It's too far. It's
I kind of agree with David, but you know, it's I understand the frustration.
It removes me from the movie because now I just feel like nothing in this movie matters.
Right, I get that. I was still trying to figure out what's going on with that.
That's kind of the point, though. It blinds you
that's
with
not a
absurdity.
good thing.
Okay, Dad.
It's absurdist. Yeah, it's absurdist, right?
Yeah, it is absurdist.
It's supposed to make you feel overwhelmed.
Much
It's
like the
supposed-
plot that I'm trying to get through. Alpha
Yeah, right.
Wayman
Go ahead,
reappears
go
to fight off security guards and takes them through to a break room. He reveals that they're being pursued by Jobu Tupaki, a woman whose mind splintered after being pushed too hard by Alpha Evelyn.
Juju Tofiki?
Juju Tofiki? So yeah, she can verse jump and manipulate matter at will, turning into a chaotic and malevolent force. This was almost my scene for what held up. The whole like where she's talking to Evelyn and then she just sort of like twists her head and like a channel changing motion and it jumps through like 4 verses. That like I was really like me wanting to pick that as my favorite scene that held up, but I was like, nope. I ended up rewatching this movie like 3 times. And every time it always came back to
We can't hear you, Jaemeel.
Murphy, why didn't you spend that time watching Primer again? Disgusting.
Exactly.
I
Disgusting.
know. I should have watched Primer
Or
like 5
Coherence
more times.
again.
I don't think I need to watch Coherence again to understand Coherence. Watching it the first time, I understood it. It's not like Primer where you need to watch it 1,200 times.
Yeah, it's not quite as good as Primer.
So yeah, Alpha Women explains that the verse jumpers can access skills, memories, and bodies of their alternate selves. To do this, they need to perform statistically improbable actions to slingshot between universes. Evelyn attempts to defend herself against evil Deidre in the stairwell and successfully accesses universe when she's a skilled kung fu master and a famous movie star.
Yeah, that's my point. Nothing statistically improbable in a multiverse that can have sausage finger monkeys that shoot ketchup, and nothing statistically improbable anymore.
Devin, what
that's
you're
my
doing
whole point.
What
That's
you're
my
doing
whole
is
problem. with
applying
that.
the knowledge to everything. It's to each individual
Davin,
universe
say
itself.
that slowly again.
What?
In a world where
nothing
sausage...
statistically improbable.
Yeah.
In a world,
yes, in a world, in a multiverse where something that insane and like impossible can happen, nothing is like really even improbable anymore.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is that not an oxymoron?
Is it 2 words?
Nothing is statistically improbable.
Well, that would not be an oxymoron. Oxymorons have to be just 2 words.
Well,
all right. No, but Devin, that's the point because the universe themselves have their own rules. The multiverse outside of that. So if you're working within the rules of this universe, jumping on a butt plug is weird. If you're working within the Sausage Fingers universe, doing something there that is within the natural order of their universe out of the norm would qualify there.
Then I need more explanation on the physical makeup of that universe. I need more.
So you want
explanation
you want a physicist or some kind of person to sit down with you and explain this fictional movie's real world applications to you.
You know what,
Okay.
Davin? Absolutely.
I wish I could give you that.
You know what? This is the stuff that I love in a lot of video games where they have a lot of like write-ups on the lore of the universe, where it's like people, and you hear people complain, oh, there's like, 500 pages to read. No, 500 pages to read about the world. I just want it to be told to me.
Well, actually, like if you want more insight, Davan, like the Daniels are on Mark Maron's podcast, and they talk about this movie at length, and fill in some things about why it is the way they did and why they make the choices they made. A few things, so it might give you some insight that might help you out.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll check that.
It's a good episode.
But then Davin's point is going to be, why do I need to listen to a podcast to learn about stuff when?
No, I think people should always listen to podcasts to learn about
2
stuff.
hours and 20 odd minutes.
Dead wrong about that.
Well, the Daniels, has anybody here seen their previous movie, Swiss Army Man?
I saw that. No, I saw the trailer. Or maybe I turned it on and I turned it off.
So the movie's about Paul Dano, who's washed up on an island and finds a dead body played by Daniel Radcliffe that he uses to the farts of the body and all these other things it does to survive. Like when he does certain things, he can use it as a jet ski. It's full of ridiculous stuff. Like Davan would hate it, but it's very surreal and very strange. And honestly, that movie, and they talk about this in the podcast, was part of like, so that. Okay, so does everybody know the music video for "Turn Down for What"?
Yeah.
So they made that. That's what made them popular. That's what got them noticed.
Oh, that's their thing. Okay.
Yes, and then they went on to do this movie, and then they even say like part of this movie is an answer to in the narrative of the daughter and the mother not connecting, that the parents don't understand their kids. Like their parents are like, why can't you just make a normal movie? Why do you have a farting corpse movie with Daniel Radcliffe? Like why are you making that? And it's just like about parents and other people that don't understand, their humor, their vision, the kind of thing they want to say. And it's that's sort of the start of this whole narrative of this movie leading towards, the eventual conclusion, how it all wraps up. So there's obviously personal things in their lives as to why this movie got made the way it did. But they like absurdist humor. It bleeds into the other things they've done as well. Turn Down for What is crazy, but it's also unique and interesting.
Yeah.
So it's ultimately unique and interesting that it's turned out that Jobu Tuvaki is revealed as the Alpha Joy from the Alphaverse, that Alpha Evelyn has basically stressed Joy to the maximum to where she's experiencing all of the events at once, all the realities, and she's become a omnicidal threat. While this sort of happens, you get the scene where like Evelyn and them are being let out by security, and Joy shows up.
Because she punches Jamie Lee Curtis in the face. I laughed out loud when that happened, though. She just
it's
walks
pretty
up
great.
Pow!
Especially she's like, why?
Why did you do that? Like,
you just punched an IRS agent.
Yeah.
So we get this really trippy scene where Joy's like, is it because I can't be here, or is that you don't want me to be here? And she starts like picking apart his like phrasing. She smokes the gun like a bong. She does this insane pile driver and then beats these security guards to death with giant dildos. It's just a wild scene. Wild scene.
It is pretty great. One narrative thing that I think is important is that the reason that Joy, this version of Joy, is Jobu Tubaki is because her mother pushed her. She broke her by expecting too much of her and wanting to make her better.
It's a comment on like the Tiger Mom thing.
Yeah, the expecting too much of your children or demanding too much from them when they don't, So it also bleeds into the narrative structure of the first Evelyn and her daughter and her issues with her homosexuality and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, there's a lot of levels to this movie. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
So this is a point where we get introduced to the hawk dog.
Oh shit!
Universe.
Here we go.
And also, I don't know if anybody noticed this, but the young lady in the movie that they keep showing, she's from Glow. She was one of the wrestlers in the show.
Oh
Glow.
yeah, I did recognize her. Yeah, she's lovely.
And also,
I did find the absurdity of what their condition is shown into like a Bollywood movie in the way that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like it's just there's all this pomp and circumstance and beautiful sets and then these ridiculous fingers.
So yeah, Joyce, played by Stephanie Hsu, who is amazing in the show, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
She is. She's very good. Yeah.
She's so good. She proceeds to inform Evelyn that she's decided to make an everything bagel with all of her personalities and her ads, her web ads, like this one that cash to tickle, looking to give some extra cash to a man with cute feet to tickle. Send pictures of your feet and must shower before we meet up.
That's a good deal. How much money are they going to get? I'll do that.
Prefer a high pitched laugh and facial hair.
Oh wow! I'm their prime person. I should answer this.
So yeah, you're the prime person for Joy's tickle fetish.
Must shower.
But yeah, she sort of goes in, and this is hands down. After watching this movie 3 times in the past 3 days, this is my favorite scene in the film.
On a bagel.
Yeah, it's a good scene.
It becomes this. Come on, Evelyn. The truth.
The truth.
What is the truth?
Nothing matters.
Oh, Joy. You don't believe that?
Young nihilist
Feels
defeatism
nice, doesn't it?
versus the
If nothing
wise.
Yeah,
There's hope
I mean,
in the
I-
future.
Pain and guilt you feel for making
There's a couple of themes I kind of find annoying in this, but that's just me.
Goes away.
Nihilism?
No, I mean, they're really trying to push the fact that everything in the world is so confusing all the time. And it's just like, you know what? They should really teach philosophy to
Not so much
elementary
confusing
school and
as
high
it's
school
overwhelming.
students, because it's really not. Not as to the point where they push it on you. It's like,
Are you saying
the world's
philosophy
crazy.
isn't confusing and contradictory?
I mean, sure, there could be contradictory philosophies. Anyone can produce, like,
Almost every
put out a
philosopher
philosophy out
has a
there,
different
but, like,
philosophy than the others.
The art of philosophy, the art of trying to learn wisdom, is an antidote to confusion. That's all I'm saying. There's fucking religious texts, there's philosophical texts that will tell you this. That's all I'm saying.
They all
It's just like
contradict each other.
But like that's an unpopular. They don't all contradict. I mean,
Well, most of them are just they took a previous one and then made it their own, like Christianity and.
okay, but you need
everything
to have a
else.
conversation with Dave Puxley. He'll word this shit better than me. He knows more about philosophy than I do. But what I do know is philosophy is an antidote to confusion, good ideas, and like you say, you're a Stoic. That's an antidote to to confusion. That's an example of an antidote to confusion. But it's like people don't like to hear that anymore. You're not allowed to tell people like just like chill out and don't be confused but overwhelmed by everything, because there are philosophies that can teach you how to do that. And that's sort of what this movie is. And that's why I think it's funny. It's commenting on that. Like I said earlier, the Ke Kwan character is a Taoist character. And the whole movie eventually comes around to the point that his way of being is actually possibly a better way of being than just being overwhelmed by everything, because his character isn't.
It's about
his character
choosing
is just
that-
like
it's about
lets things
choosing-
roll off his back and chooses to meet.
It's
with
about choosing
kindness.
love and connection, than
In that,
than
there's a lot
choosing
of things.
nihilism and then just like the nihilistic view is that you can just nothing matters. There's no point in having connection with anyone or loving anyone.
That's the daughter's story.
Yes,
the
exactly.
theme in
And
the
his
story.
is the opposite, where he says
His
like,
is the
where he says everything's confusing, nothing makes sense, it's all weird, and it's tough to deal with sometimes. But the meaning we find in life is the meaning we make with the people we love, and like to me, that's the core of the movie, and a very important theme, and one that I subscribe to. So
Perfect timing on that.
Lebowski agrees.
Yeah. He's good like that.
He
Lebowski.
chooses love, doesn't he? Yeah.
Um,
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, I basically we get that scene. Of course, Davan has to speak over my favorite scene where she says, "I'm sucked into a bagel." That delivery,
Yeah,
that,
it's
it
nice.
just made me laugh. And every time I watched it, I'm just like, "Yep, that's my favorite scene, hands down."
That
and then
delivery
she's-
confused me. I felt like I missed something. Was that like a reference to something or something?
No,
I don't
it was
believe
just,
so. I think it was just absurdism.
offbeat. It was just offbeat
Okay.
absurdism that came out of nowhere, and it made me laugh. And then yeah, Gong Gong apparently runs her over, and that's when you get introduced to Alphaverse Gong Gong.
Like super fast. It's like
Wham!
like this like super speed friggin' wheelchair
Okay,
that like crushes her against the wall.
Okay,
Seeing him in a role like this is great. I love him so much.
Yeah, I liked his role
This is
too.
something I gotta ask you, Davan. Have you ever watched the film Kung Fu Hustle?
No.
I don't think I ever have. Actually. I know. I
Oh,
That explains it all. This
No!
movie is like a high production version of Kung Fu Hustle. This
I'm
has
aware of what it's like,
spirit.
though. It's like the super absurdist kung fu movie. I've seen clips of it and stuff. It was quite big back in like we were in high school.
Did you see Shaolin Soccer?
I was going to say Shaolin Soccer is the other one that everybody brings up too. So
Yeah,
No.
they did that after Kung Fu Hustle. Dude, Kung
No,
Fu
they did-
Hustle is
No, Shaolin Soccer was before Kung Fu Hustle.
Kung Fu Hustle is one of my all-time favorite martial art films. Like it's one we are gonna have to watch at some point. Like I
Oh.
need to show you this film, Davan. It would probably make you appreciate this film just a touch more, because when I was watching this, I was like, this is all the vibes of Kung Fu Hustle, and I'm here for it.
Of all time? Of all time in terms of okay, wow.
I mean, it's definitely one of my top 5 favorite Kung Fu movies of all time.
Okay. Wow.
We're talking
Murphy attaches
Kung Fu
himself to
Hustle.
interesting things.
We're talking Kung Fu
Fifth
Hustle,
Element.
Drunken
I
Master.
think Kung Pao Enter the Fist would be mine. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm 100% kidding. I'm kidding. That's a joke.
Jesus.
That's a big
So
joke.
for me, it's like Kung Fu Hustle, Drunken Master, Once
Which
Upon a
Drunken
Time
Master?
in China.
Which
Like
one?
Jackie Chan Drunken Master.
There's
Is there
two.
more than
There's,
one?
there's the Chinese
two.
one, and then there's the remake.
There's Drunken Master and Drunken Master 2. People usually Drunken Master 2 is referred to as Legend of Drunken Master,
Yes.
which was shown
Okay,
in
so Legend of Drunken Master.
That was
like
the American
Chinese
one.
version where he like does the fire breathing and all that crazy shit. Yeah.
Okay.
That Kung Fu Hustle, Legend Drunk Master, Once Upon a Time in China.
Which one?
Rumble in the Bronx.
Rumble in the
you know
Bronx.
what? All 3 of them, to be honest.
Okay.
Police
Yeah.
Story. I mean, those are pretty well loved,
Police
too.
Story and Rumble in the Bronx. Yeah, more than likely.
Well, which Police Story? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just picking up.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's 2 of those.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Jaemeel, I feel
But
like
yeah,
your love of
Kung Fu
Asian.
Hustle's top 5.
Jaemeel, sometime you and I need to talk about your love of Asian cinema, because I got the Criterion channel and they have a whole collection on hopping vampires.
Ooh.
Yeah, they got Mr. Vampire 1 to 4, and then a couple of the other ones on there too. I'm very excited to watch them. They look fun as hell.
It's like it's only if you had a podcast like Graphic Histories that
And
you talk to
Jaemeel
Jaemeel about.
actually like
If only he would answer me when I sent him a
Yeah.
message about coming on the show. But it's fine. He obviously
back.
doesn't love me, so.
Yeah, you gotta
I'm
give him the
back
right
in my
time of
room.
year.
I'm back in my room. So
Love
the salad, though.
The room. Yeah, we're gonna hop back into the room that everyone's locked in with Alpha Gong Gong. He's basically tempting Evelyn to kill Joy.
I just love the words Alpha Gong Gong.
Alpha
Yeah,
Gong
maybe
Gong.
you laugh too.
She.
Well,
you
there's
know,
such a great narrative story here with the fact that like he was just very disapproving of her choices in her life, very much like how she treated her own daughter, and like just sort of that raising your kid a certain way kind of begats them doing the same thing, even if they mean to or not down the line.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's so good. So yeah, she gets into the scene where she starts doing a bunch of weird things to try and trigger it. She ends up like whistling and saying like, if I can become like her, maybe I'll be strong enough to defeat her. And Gong Gong's not like falling for it. She starts jumping through these realities to get the clues she needs to and it all starts piecing together. I think what's probably bugs Davan a bit is that everything seems to be compounding so quickly. And it's all happening seemingly at once at the same time as the title.
That didn't bother me. I think things should have happened faster in this movie.
I don't see how you can save this movie by shaving time. Every moment of this movie was well paced and perfectly edited. I don't see any moment that requires shaving time to save a story.
Because the length of action scenes is a choice. Like you're not. Like the longer an action scene goes on, it's not adding more to the narrative. Like
I'm not a big fan of that kind of thinking. I think
They're good action scenes.
Action scenes are great storytelling pieces. Now you may disagree in terms of how they're presenting the story in the action sequences, but to kind of make that statement, I gotta step in and say I disagree.
not saying it can't. Like it depends, but like For me, like you get the point. Like she fights 2 guys with a sword. You get the point. Does she have to fight 16 guys with a sword?
Why
Like,
was
does that add anything more?
Or the beaver controlling her on the head?
Raccacoonie?
The Ratatouille.
That was
Raccacoonie?
like
That's
that was,
I love it.
like it just was like I was like, this movie could be good if you didn't make it so stupid. Like it
Yeah,
was
it's too
just like-
stupid. There's too
No,
many stupid.
I
things.
embrace the absurdity and love it. That Raccacoonie, because she says like how
She
it's
says
like controlling
Raccacoonie.
your body like Raccacoonie, and she gets it wrong. And then their family makes fun of her. It's a cute moment between them. And then of course we get to see a universe where Raccacoonie exists, and that she's the thing. But I still think when she discovers Raccacoonie, and Raccacoonie's like, she saw too much, and you see him pick up the knife. It's like that scene made me laugh. Just when you hear him say that, just muttering to himself, he's like muttering to the guy. He's like, she saw too much. We got to kill her, and just like that killed me. I was laughing.
I just like that she's like they even explain it to her. So they're like, no, you mean Ratatouille was the movie about this, and she's like, no, Raccacoonie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking
Raccacoonie,
about that movie.
And Joy just starts busting up laughing.
Yeah, because it's so ridiculous. Like she just can't accept that.
So yeah, this is basically the portion of the film where Evelyn starts like sort of jumping between multiple verses. Her mind's starting to fracture. She gets into these like huge fight scenes with Davan's favorite scene, the gentleman with the butt plugs in the fight scene.
Well, they need to have access to the karate moves, which is the thing they need to do.
Definitely needed 5 minutes of butt plug fight scene.
Yeah, it was.
I
Great.
feel
It was
like if we actually timed that scene, it'd probably be less than a minute. Maybe
it's
felt like
probably
5
less than like
minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically Evelyn's mind fractures from the stress of splitting herself across the universes, and she also comes to her injuries, where it seems like she dies, and then you get this sort of like the end scene with the film, and everyone's like, "What?" And it just sort of like carries over back to this universe where she's like a superstar and she's watching her own movie.
She's Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, she's herself.
She's a actress who started in kung fu movies because she actually knows kung fu. She's basically Michelle Yeoh, and I like that.
Well, that world actually had her learning from an actual kung fu master and then becoming an.
Yeah, it changed it a little.
Yeah, but
rescued by a kung fu master. That part was kind of funny.
yes.
It's like, oh, of course, rescued by the kung fu master. Like that never happens.
Yeah, in this world, they established that she chose. Like they established early on that she made a choice to move to America with Wayman, and in this world, she didn't. She decided to stay, and this is what led to her being here.
Yeah, she was like.
But he did all right for
reality,
himself
and
too. He shows up and he got rich. Shit.
But they didn't have a kid in that universe, right?
No,
Yeah,
they weren't together. He went
They
to
weren't
America
together.
and made a career for himself, and she stayed there and became an.
That was my favorite scene where they're like outside the movie theater. He's having like the cigarette and like that. music.
That's mine. It's coming up. That's what I
Oh
chose for my
yeah.
favorite scene. Yeah.
That's my favorite scene in the movie for sure.
Yeah, that's my favorite scene. That's the one I chose, which will come up later when we get there. Anyway, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Are you muted?
Oh, you muted, Chris.
I keep muting myself because I'm drinking beer and I don't want to burp in everyone's ear.
He's like, I don't want to yell at Davan anymore.
Yeah. So, yeah, Evelyn's consciousness splitters across the multiverse, and where she witnesses a series of bizarre and diverse universes. These include one where she spins a sign for a living, another where she has a hot dog's fingers and dates Deidre, and then yet another where she's a tempiyaki chef and is controlled by a raccoon, or she works with a gentleman who's controlled by a raccoon. In each universe, she gains fragments of her alternate selves' experiences. Jobu Topaki finds Evelyn once again, revealing that she doesn't seek to kill her. Instead, Jobu created the Everything Bagel to annihilate herself, longing for a company in the unknown. Evelyn is initially pursued by Jobu's nihilistic view that nothing matters and acts cruelly in various universes, even stabbing Wayman. However, she has an epiphany when she...
Nihilism is boring. No wonder she wants to off herself. Like, that makes
Well, her mind was
sense.
splintered because of what her mom did to her,
Nihilism is
which
so
is what's
boring.
happening to Evelyn, and she wants the same thing.
Nihilism, though. Like, come on.
I didn't.
Davin is a fully formed, perfect individual, and always has been.
Yes.
No, but when does like nihilism come into it? Like, oh, nothing matters, everything's stupid. Meh. It's just like that.
I wholeheartedly believe that right now.
Oh my god.
But there's
So,
a
yeah,
difference
there's-
between saying nothing matters and being angsty about it, and just saying that there's not some grand design or some plan for why everything happens the way it does. It just happens randomly without a reason. That's
That I
nihilism,
agree with.
essentially. No. I guess not really, because that is different.
No, not
but
really.
Nihilism is saying nothing matters. There's no point in doing anything, and I disagree with that.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Yeah.
the point is what we make. We make the point, so make it a good one.
So yeah, in the term of nothing matters, Evelyn starts acting cruelly in the various universes, even stabbing Wayman. However, she has an epiphany when she hears Wayman still fighting for her across the multiverse. Evelyn decides to follow Wayman's example of choosing kindness and empathy. This rock scene was really brilliant. This, all those years ago when I first fell in love. Yeah, this is basically, this is where we're getting to Davan's favorite scene. This is his favorite scene right here.
Somehow, this feels like it's all my fault.
我总是看到事情好的一面，那不是因为我天真。
What happened to the English?
的需要，
He's talking in Chinese.
这也就是我的生存之道。
I don't know.
Oh, right.
The only thing I do know is that we have to be kind. Please, be kind. Especially when we don't know what's going on.
我理解，但你不是一个服输的人，我又何尝不是？只是我们选择的处理方式不一样。
Hey, Evelyn! Bagel!
Bagel. See, the movie should have wound down there for me and ended about 5 minutes after that Wayman speech. But it went a bit long.
Yeah, I mean, my scene is pretty soon after this one. I think it's probably almost directly after this one.
Yes, your scene pretty much is directly after this one, so we'll just kind of roll into that.
That was the height of the movie, for sure. This whole part.
Did you see that? Check this out, man. What song is that?
God, this scene tears me up every time.
Yeah, me too.
This movie definitely made me cry like 5 times.
尽管离家让我心碎，
Oh, Merrick's here.
See, even though you broke my heart, I wanted to say,
如果有来生，
in another life,
我还是会选择和
I
你一
really
起
liked
包水、
laundry.
开始一点。
Yeah, that was a nice one. Like, yeah, it's just a bit of a tale of two movies for me. The emotional beats I thought were fantastic. The absurdity just didn't always work.
Yeah, no,
Eric,
that
what did
was
you
my
think of this film?
Yeah, to me that sums it, like, a lot of the points of this movie up really well, because, like, she always thinks that he's just silly and doesn't really understand him and doesn't take him seriously. And then when she understands him better, that, like, his way of fighting is choosing kindness and believing that that's how he can live in this world. And then that
the Taoist sage.
And then seeing all this stuff with this world where they're both successful, but she still kind of misses him and realizes that, you know, that sometimes just, like, life is what you make of it. It's the meaning you find in it. And always searching for perfection is never going to end. You're never going to be happy. You just need to find connections with the people you care about and make those work. And I just love that scene where he would give it all up just to live that life that she hates with her.
Well, fame and money doesn't always equal happiness, too. It's that
No,
point.
necessarily. It certainly buys a lot of the things that do cause happiness.
It helps.
Mm-hmm.
It helps if all the people, or like a few people, don't have all the money. But, you know, that would help.
You're sounding dangerously like a communist, sir. I have to alert the
No,
local
Dave
authorities.
Puxley's the communist of the Federation.
So, in every universe, even when she inadvertently harms Wayman, defends and cares for her, Evelyn realizes her powers and her capacity for empathy, and she uses her abilities to help others find happiness, mending the damage she caused in alternate realities and neutralizing Alpha Gong Gong and Jobu's minions. Things kind of get wild where they introduce, like, the bagel above, and, like, people start getting sucked in, and this is where the whole reality of why we're getting hot dog finger sausages is because she ends up needing to actually be in a universe where people use their feet, and she gets out of it. And then she goes through this whole scene where she starts helping these people live like their fantasies and their happy moments, and just calming them down. And that's also in coherence with her revealing to the grandfather that his granddaughter is a lesbian, and he's
the one guy just has like a sore neck, and she's just like, oh my god, thank you.
Yeah,
and, all of a sudden doesn't want to kill anybody anymore.
Well, it's such a good moment because all of her using of her powers was to fight, like to literally fight everybody, and realizing you can use it to maybe make them not feel pain or not be upset or whatever.
The Wayman
led
thing,
them to
just
be
like answer with kindness. Is what
exactly,
he told her, so
it's a beautiful moment.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so this scene with Stephanie Hsu, she really acted her heart out in this scene. I loved it a lot. It was also probably like my top, where she's like, "Just let me go," and Evelyn begrudgingly does let her go, and you get the scene where the rock goes tumbling down the hill, and then she's like, "Wait, no,
I'm gonna get you," and he turns around with the googly eyes. I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna get you. She's like, "Hang on, you know what? You are fat, and you don't call me, even though we're on a family pan and it's free." And you should do these things, and it's just like this whole like tearing down of the walls, and like,
it's just like making a mother tattoo when you know I hate tattoos isn't a good thing. I'm not gonna like it just because it says mother. It's still a tattoo, and I hate them.
Yeah. Just getting high with Deidre with the vape pen and stuff like that, multiverse stuff, and it's just like it all builds to them returning back to their home universe, and the dynamics within the Wang family have improved significantly as they prepare to refile their taxes at the IRS office. Evelyn and Wayman share this like super cute, tender moment. It's honestly throughout the entire film, it's the most passionate kiss these two have, even though they're jumping through all these different universes. This one,
it's the only kiss they
these
have.
Two characters, the only kiss they have is very passionate. It's at the end, and it's sweet and genuine, and it's tender.
Well, even that moment where she's because Deirdre, like this is the universe where she punched Deirdre. So like Deirdre comes to the laundromat basically because they didn't which shows that Deirdre actually kind of cares, because she shows up saying that they missed they didn't show up when they're supposed to with the papers, and she's there to try to help them to get the papers. So like if she didn't care, or at least at all, she didn't have to do that. And when she sees that Evelyn is going through a hard time with her husband,
well, she showed up with the cops.
Yes, that's true, but
she was showing up to shut them down.
But
she's
still,
like,
I mean, she could have said the cops did not
out.
come. So, and maybe it was specifically just to do that, which is fine, but it still works because when she finds out that Evelyn's husband's leaving her and she's having a breakdown because of it, she sympathized with her because her husband left her, and they had this moment where they see each other for being what they are, as broken humans, like we all are. And it's a nice little nod.
Good point, Merrick.
Oh, I didn't read what he said. What did he say?
This is what happened to
Giorgio.
It all makes sense. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Right.
Basically, Deidre, acknowledges their progress. They come to the whole conclusion that she's doing good with the taxes, and there's this brief moment where Evelyn sort of radio tunes into all of her universes, and then she clicks back in, and that's the end of this movie. And it's a perfect movie. It's
a good one. Too
long
to be perfect.
Don't poke the bear. Don't poke the bear.
Don't call a movie perfect.
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
I agree with him.
All right, maybe not perfect, but as near perfect as can be. And this movie deserves every award that it won.
Sure, but at the same time, I just don't like the idea of calling a movie perfect. I just don't. Yeah, right? Art is never finished, it's only abandoned.
How about near perfect?
Oh, that's a beautiful quote.
That's what I'm saying, near perfect. Yeah. This is as near perfect as a film as you can get.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, everybody's perfect film, or the perfect film for them is different.
In my opinion.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, this movie, to me, hits all the narrative beats and emotional beats that I love, and the absurdist mixed with a little bit of everything that I love. So that's probably part of the reason why I love it so much. I really, really do enjoy it. I love this movie, and I'm very happy with its success.
Which performance would you hold up?
Oh God, they're all so good.
I'll say probably Michelle Yeoh.
I'm gonna go with Wei Kwan.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think he's fantastic in this movie, and he actually quit acting for many years because he was upset with the way that Asian people were represented in film. And then
Honestly, there was a few scenes where you
20
could tell
years.
he was rusty, a little rusty. There was a few shaky scenes with his acting.
No, I think he played his character to a T.
You mean
I
Ke
think-
Kwan, right? Like
Ke Quan, yeah.
Ke Quan, yeah.
He's excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Deserved that award for sure.
Agreed.
Oh yeah.
And led to a lot of big things. He's gonna be in the next season of Loki, and he's doing all kinds of stuff. So
Oh, is he? That's awesome.
Yeah.
He'll be going to be working for the TVA.
I believe so. Actually, I think
Yep.
the trailer shows him like behind a desk somewhere. So probably.
I need to go back and watch Encino Man because I forgot he was in that. So
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was
all the
That's a
hits
great
of his
movie.
career.
Yeah.
That's going to be on hold up in Xeno
You guys
Man.
didn't mention Temple of Doom. I mean, that's the one. Or no, you didn't mention that. You didn't mention the Goonies. That's the other one.
The Goonies, Data.
I didn't like the Goonies as a kid.
I
ever
actually
went
do
through
not
the
like
whole-
that movie.
I don't like it either.
Do not mention that in front of Jessica at all.
I thought Brian Maxwell was gonna kick my ass when I said I didn't like the.
Oh,
Goonies.
no.
I never
Like-
saw it as a kid. I only watched it as a cynical adult, and it's not a good movie if you don't have.
Hey, you guys.
Oh, wow. Do not.
I don't know who Jessica
fine.
is, so I will just.
She likes it. I get it.
Hey, you
Our
guys.
chant,
Moving on.
Movie morsels for Everything Everywhere All at Once 2023. Daniels originally wrote the script with Jackie Chan in mind for the lead role. Ultimately, Daniels changed the leading role to a woman, feeling it made the husband-wife relationship more convincing, and the lead role ultimately went to Chan's
I
super
thought he
cop
turned it
co-star
down.
Michelle Yeoh.
I thought he turned it down, and that's why they restructured it. But maybe I'm wrong on that.
Maybe, I don't know. I didn't read that one.
It's an
I feel
entirely
like-
different movie.
I'm pretty sure in one of the podcasts they said he
Man.
turned it down, and then they pivoted to Michelle Yeoh, but they were much happier with the end result. Like they were happier with what they got now. I mean, obviously they changed a bunch of stuff, but
Yeah.
they were much happier with the change. So.
The impressive high-speed shot where Evelyn gets sucked into the janitor's closet is all done in camera. The
Oh,
effect was
cool.
achieved by dramatically lowering the camera's frame rate and having Michelle Yeoh act in slow motion as she was pushed towards the closet. When the film was played back at regular speed, it appeared exactly as it does in the film. Which I thought was cool.
That's super cool. I love when you hear
Uh,
all those tricks like that.
The fake end credit scene that pans out to a theater full of people watching the ending is a reference to Paprika from 2006 by Satoshi Kon, which is one
gotta
of the
watch
films
that.
I have on our list to watch. I'm gonna
It's
make
on
you
our list,
watch.
yeah.
Yep. In a deleted scene set in an unseen universe, Evelyn played a talking urn that contained her ashes. The scene was removed from the movie, but a shot of the urn screaming remains in the one rapid
Yeah.
cut sequence,
That's cool.
and another moment in Alpha Wayman's arms just before Jobu Tupaki kills him and everyone else in the RV in the Alphaverse. The urn was originally shown during Alpha Wayman's explanation of who Alpha Evelyn was in his universe. At around 56 minutes, Stephanie Shu's laugh with the dildos occurred after they called cut, but they loved it so much they included it in the film. The voice of Rakakuni was performed uncredited by singer-songwriter Randy Newman.
Really?
This
That's awesome.
That's great.
Awesome.
This casting is one of the many
Randy
references to the
Newman.
2007 Pixar movie Ratatouille. Although Newman did not actually work on Ratatouille, he has written songs and scores for many other Pixar
Toy
films.
Story,
Yeah, Toy Story.
Monsters Inc., Cars, and A Bug's Life, making Newman a sort of Pixar good luck charm. He was credited in the digital home video releases.
That's awesome. That's super cool. I didn't know that. That's really good.
And a
when the
co-writer
fam-
of Three Amigos.
Ah, yeah. When the family is singing karaoke together in the opening shot, Evelyn briefly covers Joy's mouth. This is because although the audience can't hear it, the song being sung is Barbie Girl by Aqua. And as a mom, she didn't want Joy singing the lyric, "You can comb my hair, undress me anywhere." Per an audience Q&A, the original intention was to feature the song more prominently in the movie, ending it with a large group singing it at a karaoke together. Despite featuring it prominently in early versions of the film, all obvious references to the song were removed for the final edit.
Aqua got sued by Mattel because of that line.
Yeah, but it's a good idea that they removed it because they had to save all that Barbie juju for this year.
Yep, true.
There you go.
Jobu Tubaki's name was deliberately chosen by the Daniels to be a completely random assemblage of symbols with no meaning, which naturally makes it a perfectly which naturally makes it fit perfectly within the theme of the movie. Nothing has any meaning, but you can still find joy. The two antagonists fighting Evelyn with objects shoved up their butts are listed in the credits as Alpha Jumper Trophy and Alpha Jumper Bigger Trophy.
That's awesome.
Great.
I saw that because we happened to pause it during that scene or something to go get, I don't know, but you could see their names at the bottom of the screen and stuff, and I was like,
To keep plot details under wraps before the trailer was released, the IMDb synopsis read, "It's about a 55-year-old Chinese woman trying to finish her taxes."
That's awesome.
Michelle Yeoh said
Sums it up.
that the film was completely out of her comfort zone. I was suddenly doing comedy, physical comedy, action, horror, every single genre all packed into one, and jumping in and out of it. It was such a gratifying experience. I've waited a long time to receive a script like that because as you get older, the box gets smaller and smaller.
Oh, yeah.
That's lovely.
James Hong was 91 years old during filming, and he had 5 stand-ins to perform the various action beats. One stand-in volunteered to shave his head just for the honor of doubling Hong. At the Austin, Texas premiere, Daniel Kwan revealed, "The moment the film finished and we were walking backstage, I felt something I'd never felt before, which was this deep contentment, this deep fulfillment, because we were backstage and Jamie Lee Curtis had never seen the movie before, and she looked at me and she was bawling. There was just tears on her face, and she said, 'Okay, I finally understand the movie,' which was incredible. Just to have someone like her be the first person I talk to after this movie, a veteran who has done this so many times and seen this process so many times, to see her shook was incredible."
She finally understood the movie, so she shot like all the stuff with the sausage fingers, going, "This is gonna be the stupidest movie
This is the stupidest thing.
But Dave, I don't find that hard to believe. The amount of movies that these actors and actresses do, where they're only a small segment, they don't really get to see the grand picture of things, right?
Yeah.
And they eventually see it, and like she's done so many Halloween movies, she's like, yeah, I kind of get what's happening. I run and whatever, right? This is such a high concept film in comparison to a lot of the other stuff that she's done. I can absolutely understand it.
But more high concept than True Lies.
Yeah.
As far as action films go, True Lies is a fantastic movie.
One of the best.
Yeah, it's one of the best action. It might be the best action movie ever in my mind.
Maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I got two final
I'm there
ones.
with you.
In separate interviews, both Michelle Yeoh and Stephanie Hsu revealed that Rock Universe was their favorite, even though neither of the actors are seen or heard here.
It's pretty great.
With its 7 Oscar wins, including Best Picture, this has become the most awarded Best Picture winner since Slumdog Millionaire of 2008, 14 years earlier.
And it's so amazing that A24, like a little studio that is like that made this and got to these heights, because all of their movie, like almost every movie they've made that I've seen, I love.
Yeah, but like little studio, friggin' millions upon millions must have been spent on this movie. So
yes, but this would have been
millions of
little studios take chance on big movies occasionally. This is one of their biggest, and it worked out.
It strikes me as a little studio, perhaps owned by a bigger studio.
No, actually, they're not. They actually, because of the strike right now, they're the only film company that agreed to all of the demands of the actors and the writers, so they can still make movies.
Yeah,
they're the only one that can.
Bob Iger doesn't want to agree to none of that.
They have a beautiful horror movie over right now called Talk to Me. If you haven't seen it, I highly suggest it.
I haven't seen that. I'll check
also,
it out.
I mean, Michelle Yeoh is the only Asian woman to ever win Best Actress.
Only one. I will say. So go ahead.
Second woman of color, because Natalie Portman won for
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman.
Need Halle Berry for Monsters Ball.
Did she win Best? I was looking at actress in leading role.
Yeah, but you're talking about women of color, and you're talking about Natalie Portman.
She's from Israel.
Jewish?
She's from Israel.
I don't know. Okay.
No, we're splitting hairs now, boys.
Yeah.
Semantics is
Splitting some
down
hairs now.
So third, I guess. Like the third.
I was looking up a list of Best Actors. I didn't see Halle Berry. Oh, maybe it was only of Asian
Monsters
descent.
Ball. She won.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, you're right. You're totally right. I should have known that.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. It came up as a trivia fact that I detailed. 6 black leads have won Best Actor.
Oh, I see. I looked up Asian actresses, and it was Natalie Portman comes up as born in Israel, from West Asia. So I guess that's why I included her name in there.
Cinematography by Larkin Seipel, edited by Paul Rogers, music by Son Lukes. Release dates March 11th, 2022 at South by Southwest, March 25th, 2022 in the United States. A running time of 139 minutes. A budget of 14.3 million to 25 million is what it says, but a box office of 141.2 million dollars. Big time smash. That is the movie morsels for Everything Everywhere All at Once 2020.
I saw it in theaters, so
I wish I saw it in theaters.
I saw it in theaters.
Wish I saw it in theaters.
It'll probably go back
see
in.
theaters.
It'll probably go back.
It was in theaters for like almost like
very
what
long
8
time.
months? 8
Yeah.
months it was in.
I watched it in the theater, and then I showed my wife
That's a
to
good
it
spectacle
immediately
movie,
after it
though.
came out, and then she showed a friend, and I watched that with them too. I love it so much.
See,
I saw
rewatchability,
this
so
in
that a yes
theaters.
from everybody?
I'd have to say no. I wouldn't rewatch this.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Dave. I would probably like maybe 10 years from now, if it was 20 minutes to 30 minutes shorter, I'd probably watch it again this year.
But
it's
I want
not,
to go
so
back and
I
watch like those great scenes, like. But I
Yeah.
don't want to watch the whole thing again because I feel like it's like once you
too
know
much
the
fluff.
right.
I bought the Steelbook on 4K. I don't even have a 4K player yet. I'm rewatching this thing.
I bought it on Blu-ray right away. I bought it on Blu-ray right away. Yeah.
Does it hold up though? Yes, of course it does. It's a
100% it does.
It holds up as a
Me
movie.
then,
It just,
alright?
yeah.
Fuck me then.
Murphy,
What do
yeah,
I
you just-
care?
Does the
Murphy,
movie
we
what
know
does
your
my opinion
rewatchability. You
matter?
said you watched it 3 times yesterday. We
Yes,
don't.
but
We
I'd
got
like
your
to
answer.
explain myself. Go fuck me then.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Fuck.
I love that.
Well,
doesn't
we're
hold
at
up.
to the
It's like-
3-hour mark. I'm trying not to be too redundant at the 3-hour mark
It's
of our
like,
podcast.
did the
I
movie
would
that come
just
out
like to
last
say
year
my
hold
piece
up to
about
today's
this
standards?
film. I
Go ahead.
wanted to see this film in theaters desperately. I wanted to go see this film in theaters, but I was like, no, I'm going to wait to watch this on hold up when the time of rights. I saved it for this podcast,
Oh, that's
and I
cool.
wish I saw it in theaters. I watched it 3 times in the time I watched it the first time to when I needed to prepare for this podcast, and each time it went by briefly. There wasn't a moment wasted. I love this fucking movie from beginning to end. It's just a good time. It holds up. Yes, it holds up.
Murph, next time it's in theaters, we need to go and see it.
Yes, 100%.
I will go too. Send me a plane ticket.
It's cheap now. Hey, swoop. Let's swoop.
True.
Now we have our multiverse movie rankings. I'm gonna
Well,
go
I
last.
can't help you here. I might bow out at this part, guys. So, but hey, thanks.
No, you're locked in now. You can't just
I'm
drop
in.
it.
Yeah, you just sit right
I
there.
haven't seen the other 2 movies, so I can't.
Don't worry about it. This happens fast. You stick around. You can help me plug at the end.
All
You
right.
just guess based on anything that you see in the conversation right now how you would feel about those movies, and let's see how right you are.
All right, for me, it's gonna go Everything Everywhere All at Once, Coherence, and then Quest for Love.
You're going from least to best, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No, we always, yeah, exactly.
You should. Well, it's more. It builds more tension if you go from the bottom up. But I agree. Same as Quest for Love at the bottom, then Coherence, then this one obviously at the top.
Ditto.
God,
I'm going in reverse order. Just
Quest for Love. Top
It's
for
all
Quest
about
Love's
Quest
the
for
top.
Love.
The movie that
Dave will
all
love
did.
the Quest for Love. It's like the American president. of
President, I know.
1921.
I was just gonna say.
I loved in the previous episode.
He loves chalky, dry romance.
I just
Yeah, he does.
I
he
do.
does.
once in a while. Once in a
Don't
while, it's a
punish the
classic.
man for being romantic. Come on.
Yeah, if it's got Aaron Sorkin, come on, why not?
Yeah, the master of romance, Aaron
Yeah,
Sorkin.
the master of.
Sorkin, well known for his deep romanticism.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. So I'm having a little bit of trouble with this one because, I really like 2 of these movies, and Everywhere All at Once, made me cry 5 times, but I don't really want to rewatch it. In Coherence, I kind of do already.
Oh, I see.
But it didn't make me cry. But it's not that type of a movie, so I don't know. I'm going Coherence, Everywhere All at Once.
I'm still happy about that.
Quest for
Yeah,
Love.
that's fine. That's fine. Thanks for suggesting that one, Jaemeel.
Yeah, that was a great.
yeah,
Does that come from you, Jaemeel? That was a great pick. Thank
Well,
you.
I
needed that.
He
movie in my
mentioned
life.
it, and then I was trying to pick one, and I said, "Well, I'll just pick one I don't know anything about that I've heard is really good." So, and when Jaemeel mentioned it, I was like, "Yeah, I did hear that was good." So
Coherence
Nice.
came from Jaemeel then. Oh,
It
okay.
did.
Yeah, sweet.
Dude, I talked to you first about that.
Was it
They mentioned
Coherence?
too
I thought
that-
we were talking
Listen.
about a different film.
My friend
No,
was big into
it was that
movies. I
one.
mentioned it to him, and he was like, "Oh, I love that movie." And then we talked about it for like an hour after I'd seen it.
So is Coherence the one that has like a litany of other movies or a TV show that follow it or something?
No.
What
Are you talking about Parallels?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. Parallels.
Yeah, we talked about Parallels as well, but Coherence is the one I mentioned. Final take.
All right. Well, before the final take, let me bring up the list. That's what we got going on there right now.
Ooh, I love a good spreadsheet.
Yeah, well, so does Cousin Dave.
I love my
This is-
spreadsheets.
This is some
He's
exciting.
a master at it.
podcasting.
Whenever I need a spreadsheet, it's Cousin Dave.
I run them for a living.
Yeah. So that's what we've got. You know, we're still pretty high on most movies. We got a lot of A's, quite a few B's. There's some stinkers there in the C column. There's a few.
I love you guys did a movie called Shit House from 2020.
It's awful. That was
So
Murphy.
bad.
Murphy made us watch that, and I still haven't really forgiven him.
I went with a theme there. I was like, well, if the other two movies are house,
It was our
related, why
house
not
theme.
go with this?
Yeah.
One? Yeah.
Was
You
Sphere,
should give points for
was Sphere one of the time travel ones?
Yeah, it's a time travel movie technically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not good. Don't go back and watch it to test that theory.
I mean, there's so many. You could have done Time Crimes. You could have done that old Peter Cushing Doctor Who movies. You could have done lots of fun time travel stuff that wasn't Sphere. You really have to reach to make that one match that criteria.
Jeff Mader loves a good sphere.
All right.
He does.
Oh, Jeff Mader picked it? Okay.
Yeah. He was like, he had to do time travel movies. He picked Sphere. I'm like, you're really gonna pick Sphere? Like,
Look, I swear I'm related to these Mader boys, but we don't share a
second
lot of
cousins,
likes
so,
in
you know,
common.
it's
Other than
only like
Star
3% DNA the same.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved how in that episode, I only started listening to the last episode, is when they talk about, he's your brother, right, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he talks about how they had only a few movies at like at their place they'd watch all the time, and then they're like, "You mean like the American President?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I guess we did watch that one a lot."
Yeah, we did.
And it's just like laughing internally because I'm like, "You guys gave him you gave poor Dave such a hard time for like."
Oh, I was
We
fighting
sure
for my
did.
life that night. Oh my god, I was like,
you were.
Let the man.
and only I wanted to pick the contender, and Davin wouldn't let me have it because it was past his arbitrary line. I'm like, why
Yeah,
don't you
we
make an
changed
exception?
those rules.
I convinced him to change that rule because you got to let your guest pick a movie they want to watch.
Well, and it was some of the themes too. Like some of the themes, like this one. I'm like, the old movies were hard to come by for multiverse.
Oh yeah, that's why we got Quest for Love.
Yeah, that's how we got Quest for Love.
You could have done the
All
one
right.
with Jet
Last
Li,
Action Hero.
or the one with.
But
Jet
give
Li.
it up, Murphy. We're gonna get Last Action Hero one day, but it's not really a multi. I don't know. It's kind of like
It's a dimensional movie.
There's a
The
be-
original-
there's a better
the
theme.
concept of
There's
this
a better
episode was
theme.
multi-dimensions.
Okay, I have a suggestion. Do one about the love of movies.
Oh Lord, the Majestic again?
No,
no, we did that. That was our first episode of cinema.
Is that okay?
That was
Maybe
our
that's
very
why it's come
first
back
cinema.
to my head. Okay.
Yeah,
Do
we've
a
done
cinema
that.
return.
We opened with our love of movies, so then we could go on and bash them.
All right, you know what? You could just do Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. That probably meets your criteria. There's enough of them out there.
There's a lot of them.
I still think
he'll
Total
make some
I think Total Recall is his best movie.
Bump you up.
I like Total Recall a lot.
Close seconded by Predator.
I think it might be True Lies.
True Lies would be the third one probably.
All right, my final take. My final take before we hit the trailers, the
too
coming
much.
attractions. The final take tonight is that every possibility exists. It exists for you, exists for us, them that are us, and you. To be any version. So try new things. Create branch realities. Explore them. Enjoy them. Destroy them if you must. But try not to destroy all of us or become a rage monster in the process. And as always... See, Murphy hasn't learned how to be my co-host yet. Every time I do a thing like that, my other co-host pick it up.
Hey, it's Kevin.
And as always,
Yeah.
what?
This is where you say, enjoy the movies, and we end our show. God, Murphy, I gotta spoon feed you this shit?
Enjoy the movies.
I'm sorry. Do we not have to like close things out? Do we have to not let people know about a few things like this federation of ours, a federation of pop?
Not after
podcasts?
3 hours.
We're united.
Okay, well, maybe.
We're a
Maybe
united
we are
federation
united.
of podcasts.
I don't know. After
That's
this
how we end
episode, I'm not sure how
every
united
podcast.
y'all are.
Yeah, we're all together. We're on the same page, guys. You know, we've got the charter.
Talk about things like Star Trek over at Live Long and Podcast and all the entertaining Star Trek news. There's going to be some Lower Decks this week if you want that. If you're looking for a little interview with Derek Tyler Attico about the Benjamin Sisko autobiography with Davan over at Locutors.
He'll be joining us tomorrow night to review Lower Decks.
Yeah, Lower Decks, 2 episodes.
Oh, that's awesome. What a great
I gotta watch this.
tag. We also got a little podcast about X-Men called X-Rated, the animated review show with these two knuckleheads.
Who?
They like to talk X-Men. They had an
Sounds
interview
boring.
with Andrew Hule. How?
Oh my God! Don't even try.
Tough. It's tough.
There's a guy's name's Adrian Huff, and he just said Andrew Hewley. I'm out of here. I gotta go, you guys. I can't
Did you
take this
say Dino
anymore.
Menzel as well, Murphy?
It's like I think his name is Andathon Hamabaloo.
Andarithian. He's what is it? Andarithian from Lower Decks.
Adriane Honolulu. We got it. We got it, guys.
Neon Silver Server. So yeah, graphic histories with André Myette. He talks to all sorts of people through the artistic world of histories and talks things graphic.
It's a fun time.
Super Mater Brothers with Jaemeel and Dave and Jeff, and they talk about Big Brother and Survivor Series and whatever else you guys want to talk about.
Do you know what they say about us?
They're brothers.
We are brothers!
You know what else they say about you?
Don't want to make the natives restless.
Don't make the Maters restless. That's right.
Okay,
Speaking of Maters, we got Eamon Mater with Eamon on Track talking music. We also have the Trivial Debates podcast where we recently had an episode covering The Office. We're going to be talking Transformers and something.
Why?
Because Murphy's themes of subject suspect.
Oh, that's why you wanted to ask me about Transformers. You're like, do you know anybody likes Transformers? And I was like, no.
Nobody knows anyone who likes Transformers. I've asked everybody. I found 2 contestants. You do?
Hey, I got Jim Edelston. Huge Transformer fan.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now, are we talking the cartoon or the movies?
He's more of the cartoon. He goes back to the old days. He got really mad at me when I was like, I told him I didn't like Transformers. It's like he's passionate.
In general?
Yeah, I'm like not a fan.
There's a third contestant for you.
The concept? You don't like Transformers?
No, I don't care about cars turning into robots. I'm sorry, it's not for me. It's not.
But it's more than meets the eye.
They're robots that turn into cars. It's you even have the concept.
I like spaceships.
The whole thing's backwards.
Is this GoBots?
You know what's more than meets the eye? The Hellbound podcast with Michael Chan and Kyle Blackmore. It's a horror movie podcast.
Yes,
That's pretty
Michael
much all we got
Chan,
going on.
husband of Jessica Chan,
Oh,
Goonies
that's a
fan number 1.
Goonies fan number
That's
one.
Jessica you mentioned. Okay, I never
Yes.
met her.
She's
So
awesome.
yeah, that's everything we got going on at the Federation podcast here. As Davan likes to say with his final take or whatever, ultimately I'm getting to the point. Enjoy the movies. We're gonna leave you with common attractions for episode 21.
You gotta smooth out these endings.
Season 2, episode 1. We're gonna leave you with these common attractions. When we'll be back, I don't know. Soon. Enjoy it.
Season
Love you.
2.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is fun.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Jaemeel.
Thanks, Andre.
Thank you, Dave. Also, I believe Dave Mater is our guest for season 2, episode 1.
Am I? Oh, so I'm coming up.
Yep.
Are these movies we're watching?
Space.
Yes, these are the movies we're watching.
Oh.
On the second moon of Jupiter, something deadly is happening.
Indeed, Star Trek.
Pretty soon they'll see that this is just like every other mining town. I work these people hard, and I let them play hard. There's never much trouble.
This is the one I picked.
We're all professionals.
Hey!
Yeah.
Poser!
I haven't seen it yet.
No, I picked Outland.
Oh, you picked Outland? But I
Yeah.
encouraged you to pick it.
Well, I used to have it on. It's one of the first. Actually, it's the first movie I bought on DVD.
I said because I it's been recommended, but I've never actually watched it. So
It's not bad. I got it because it was $5 in a bin.
I remember seeing it ages ago. But I
Got Sean Connery, like We Are Brothers.
Yeah, it does.
No way it could have been homicide.
I think this is one of Sean Connery's better films. Honestly.
He has a lot of crap in his career.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Zathura. You should watch that.
Zathura? He's in Zathura?
He means like Xanadu.
Xanadu. Okay.
He means Xanadu.
Okay.
Whatever, the one he's got like the bandoliers and the fucking red Speedo.
Yeah. Xanadu.
Try and meddle, I want you to know what you're meddling with.
My God, they're gonna show you the whole movie.
It feels
Why is
like
he putting his hand on the end of a shotgun barrel? What was that for? Gotta put that shotgun shell in through the end of the barrel like a musket.
You're dead.
Should have plugged it up with a sausage finger.
Maybe maybe a butt plug.
Or a butt plug. That would have been entertainment.
How long is this trailer?
The whole movie. We just saw the whole thing.
I'm trying not to watch it too closely.
Yeah, you better not.
We'll have to rewatch it again on the episode. That's what I love about rewatching the trailers. You get to be like, oh yeah, they did show the whole fucking movie. Look at that. Man. Peter Boyle.
Peter
Francis.
Boyle. Oh,
Jerry
Jay
Goldsmith.
Goldsmith. Okay.
Darby O'Neill and the Little People.
I remember that.
I've seen that movie like 25 times when I was
Oh,
a
yeah?
kid. I used to love Darby O'Neill when I was a little kid.
All right, then this is my pick then.
Yeah.
Forget what I picked.
I'm trying to figure it out from the trailer. How long is it going to take?
13th minute.
Oh, he picked friggin' Apollo 13.
The 13th hour.
Yeah, you did.
The 13th Apollo mission was launched.
Jeez.
Oh, I did.
You are so sentimental.
My mom loved this movie.
Our next broadcast will be from the
Like, Dave could teach American history. He loves it so much.
I could. Actually, just agrees in American history. Which is not me, but...
We have a problem.
Houston, we are venting something out into space. It's definitely a gas of some sort.
Could be air.
Again, please.
It must be the oxygen.
You see what I see?
Flight. Your heart rates are skyrocketing.
We have a 401 alarm.
Oh, God, another Ron Howard film.
Jack, what's the story here?
I keep losing radio signal. That can't happen.
Kevin Bacon.
Bill Paxton.
The Pax. Everyone loves
Gary
the Pax.
Sinise and Harris.
Like they're all over the place. Damn, we're losing it.
We never lost an American in space. We're sure as hell not going to lose one on my watch.
I thought this was Forrest Gump.
It was like right after Forrest Gump too.
You know, there's a film called Quest for Love from 2022 that I was tempted to use the trailer for today, but I completely forgot about it. It looks terrible, by the way. I watched it.
Okay, what's this other one?
Oh, Murphy always goes off the board with this shit.
Wait, what? Is this
I do what I do because of my dad.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, it's the Brad Pitt father movie. The space father movie.
Pursuit of knowledge.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Control, you getting that over?
Oh, it's blowing up. I think I've seen this trailer before.
I never
Most
even heard of
people
this.
have seen. Oh, this movie came and went.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
It's crazy out there. There's fires
In
everywhere.
space?
Plane crashes. They're calling it a surge.
Major, we have some highly classified information.
What can you tell us about the lead?
I hope he goes back to space and there's more space. Okay,
Its
good.
objective was to search for advanced extraterrestrial life. The ship disappeared approximately 16 years into the mission. And the commander was?
He was my father, sir. This might come as quite a shock to you.
This movie's just gonna like seem super obvious and have a twist at the end.
material that could threaten our entire solar system. All life would be destroyed. We're counting on you to find out what's happening out there.
You know what's funny though? 10 minutes into Everything Everywhere All at Once, I looked at Tiffany, told her what the movie would be about, and I was exactly right.
Please begin your psychological evaluation.
No, but like all the themes with like the family and stuff, I'm like, I figured it out in like freaking 10 minutes.
I'm feeling good. Ready
know.
to do my job to the best of my ability.
Still good.
So, you decided to spoil the movie for her.
I remain fully committed to the lawful.
She didn't think it would be true. She's just like, no.
If necessary, I will destroy the project in its entirety.
The Earth puts hopes in him.
What is going on with this movie?
And now it's fate.
Find out on the next episode of Multiverse.
Yeah.
We have a job to do. Are you ready? I'm ready.
I'm ready. Let's go.
But how does the American president feel about all of this?
Well, we'll have to find out.
We will, and I'm sure it'll be in that movie.